what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Now, speaking of Patreon, I'm going to shout out all of my patrons for all of their very much appreciated support. So, starting off with Alistair, big shout out to you. Dank, David Wayne Foster, shout out to both of you. What's that? A new one. I've got a new Patreon that looks things. Is it Deckard? Deckard Out Games. Decked Out Games. Edwin, thank you very much indeed for supporting me. God Rockin, Jeranism, Kirsten Smith, Matt, Michael, 787GenX, and Mike. Thank you very much for your support. Paige, thank you very much indeed. Renee, thank you very much indeed. Sam Hine, smashing the super chat hard recently. Thank you very much indeed for supporting me on Patreon. And last but by no means least, Tina Barker. Thank you very much indeed for your support. So I'm going to pass over to Google Plus Hangouts on air. Say hello to Paul and Tenth Man. How are you both doing?
Good, how are you?
Very well, very well. My wife used the computer to watch a film yesterday evening and forgot to tell me, so I started everything, got it all set up, and she's like, did I mention that I used the computer yesterday? I'm like, so did you switch all the sound settings? Oh yeah. Did you switch them back? Oh no. I'm like, well, I've set it all up now. So that means I've got to then, not only have I spent 5 minutes setting it up from where it was left yesterday, sort of ready to be set up, I then have to restart the PC, change the sound settings back, otherwise it cocks everything up. I've done that enough times to know it's not worth just changing the sound settings back and risking it. I have to actually restart the PC. But there we go. It hadn't been restarted for about a week, so that's why we're a little bit later, about 7 minutes. Not much of a pre-show today.
Well, I'd like to finish up where we were talking about Coriolis and how they're stuck with that because they say it's there, but then when they don't want it to be there, they say it's not there.
Yeah, there's a necessity for there to be a Coriolis effect based on the fact that there's two reference frames. If you've got a spinning Earth and the atmosphere cannot be attached to it, it's separate gas molecules expanding in all directions randomly without bonds. So you can't have that nonsense that they being the people in this debate, parrot, which is to say that the Earth and atmosphere are attached. And, that's just simply not the case. Gas doesn't attach itself to things. So, no. So you've got a necessity to have a Coriolis effect. The fact there isn't one is why there's so much doublespeak in this particular subject.
Yeah. That's their Achilles heel because directly or indirectly, 5 of the 7 housekeeping questions relate with Coriolis.
They got to have it because we're spinning, supposedly, but then you can't prove it, so you can't feel it even though we're spinning. That's definitely double speak.
Yeah, and in the argument, it's double speak between single and multiple or 2 reference frames.
However, they got caught in their own double speak when it supposedly moves underneath a bullet in a football, and as I brought up yesterday, the Foucault pendulum. Well, if it moves under that, it's got to move under everything else.
A couple of people in Discord by the looks. Hello, Zuma and Righteous Force.
I might want to share something later on.
Sure. My line's quiet for Discord, but you're very quiet. Let's just see if I can rectify that. Yes, I can. Can you say something else, Righteous Force?
Hey, Is it okay if I share like a short video clip at one point?
Is it
Like, I'm not
yours?
sure if you guys seen it.
Is it yours?
I kind of like mirrored it off Facebook.
If it's not yours,
So
then no.
no, if not, you can just like not play it. Just like look at the stills.
Yeah, I'm sure that sure that should be okay. Need somebody willing participant to actually play the video because I won't be the one doing it. But if someone in the channel wants to share it and then can just skip through while you're talking through it, you just need to nominate somebody. There's hardly anyone on the panel at the moment. Normally, Arwin's the willing victim in that regard.
I'll do it if
but I'm
you'll
on Discord.
drop it into the Discord and I'll pull it up and I'll just take the sound off and you tell me where to go with it.
Thank you, Paul.
You can just skim through it and just whatever.
I'm hoping to rectify
Okay, I'll
this.
pop it now.
My ambition is to actually rectify this problem, and the reason is fairly simple. So I've got two screens, both of them are 1080p, and the bottom line is I don't have enough real estate. I don't have enough pixels to do all the things that I have on screen. So I need either a higher resolution projector, which is I think the route I'm going to go because I physically don't have space for a third screen. I've considered it and tried to jig around where I could put it, and I just can't. But a higher resolution projector will give me 4 times the real estate on that one screen, which means I can put, another 3 times as much stuff on, including what I've got already. So it's like having an extra three times the amounts of pixels I've got now. So I'll have more than, 150% more pixels than I've currently got if I get one of the screens changed to a 4K screen. And what that'll mean is I can have a load of stuff that I'm normally flicking between, like Patreon and Discord and Voice Meter Banana and the live studio and the list goes on and on and on, and my background video and my OBS studio and my ancillary controls, shortcut buttons, all of them are on one screen. And I just, if I start adding even more to it, i.e. playing someone's video for them, I just can't monitor it, or I'll start to lose track of things. And that's normally when something goes wrong.
You don't got a TV?
A what?
You don't got a TV hooked up to your PC also?
A TV? Yeah, I've got. Well, I don't have a TV, but I've got a projector which serves as my TV, if you like. Although it hasn't got a tuner, but it's a screen, and then I've got a monitor. Both of them are 1080p, but like I say, the projector will hopefully go up to 4K, and then I'll have more real estate to be able to play people's videos because I can just bring them up on the second screen and play them that way, without losing everything I see on that screen for whatever the duration of the video is. Really, I need 3 screens, and I just can't fit them in.
Okay.
Start in a couple of minutes if you want. Did you want to do a quick dry run with Paul? Sorry, Paul. Do you want to tell Paul what you want and whatever?
I've got it.
You just click any parts. I think Paul already seen it, right?
I think I've seen it a while back.
Okay, I was just wondering if anybody else seen it.
Is it the one with you're talking about the sun setting in the water? Is that that's the video you wanted? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like getting cut off bottom up, the sun, while the horizon is way ahead of it. And then you see it just vanish, like the water eventually.
Can you figure out which bits you want to take? Because I just don't want to play someone else's video, Paul.
I got
just
you.
Take a picture or two. It doesn't matter.
You don't have to take a picture. You just have to pause on.
I really don't want to comment. I just play it, and just show a picture or two, and that's it.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, I guess here's the beginning.
Is it paused?
Yeah, I got it paused.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I've got it up now.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to comment. He just wants you to go through the video. It's still pictures, and then we could jump in, I guess.
So, what am I seeing? Why is the sun in the middle of the ocean? Is that just my eyes? What's going on?
It's called perspective.
Yeah, but there's a great big line behind it.
We got a parent. I guess we got a parent sun position and a parent horizon. So I don't know exactly what's going on.
Well, it could be just my projector, but it looks like the sun's going into the ocean. If you literally just describe what it looks like to me, am I wrong in what I see?
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've never seen that
what
before.
I was thinking too.
Has anybody else ever seen that? That's cool. Wow,
There's another video by a flat earther who has like another like demonstration of this. I just found out yesterday.
This just proves perspective.
I don't dispute that.
I think it's more than perspective, though. Obviously, there's some kind of lensing of the atmosphere to cause it to be apparently be in the middle of the ocean.
That's part of perspective. That's the whole point. I mean, they'll say this is perspective, but then the other ones they won't call perspective because it's Earth curve.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion right here, right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, how dare you? Then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man and Paul in the Google Plus and Flat side, and we're also joined by quite a whole bunch of people. We've got Dougie, Fundy Zealot, Pinocchio and Righteous Force in the Discord server. Welcome one and all.
Thank
Any
you.
signs of Earth curvature?
Goeiemorgen.
No signs of Earth curvature.
No.
Just perspective.
Nothing. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No, none.
Nope.
No.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Not
No.
measured.
No.
There's this Venus thing. Venus, I think that could be accounted for
Presupposing.
somehow.
There's this Venus thing, did you say?
The assumption that Venus is the same size as the Earth, so you can do the angular size, figure out the distance of the sun, that kind of thing.
Shout out to Christian Huygens. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Sorry, Nathan, nothing.
Still no.
Nothing there either.
Come on, Discord, lay it on me. Molten iron core, you know you've got some evidence. Don't hold back.
Any scientific evidence for gravity?
No.
Scientific evidence of what?
Very good.
Any
I
evidence
heard
of-
a new one about gravity yesterday, that the observed phenomena is the force.
What
Okay,
force?
do you want to show us that? That would be
That's
my
what I
answer. Yeah, let's have a look at that force. Let's see it. Let's see that natural phenomena. Any evidence of the R value?
Only on a pirate ship.
No evidence for R.
Earth radius specifically? Anyone else want to ask the last question about gas pressure?
Any signs of gas pressure without the antecedent of a container?
No, you definitely need the antecedent. It's the necessary antecedent to have gas pressure. So, no.
Exactly.
That would be
Oh,
correct.
excellent. Getting better. It's getting more slick, these housekeeping questions that aren't coming from me. The point being that it engages some of the Discord globers, if they're in there, to engage with some of the other panel members. That's the idea behind other people doing the housekeeping questions. That, and it hopefully means that hearing it from a different tongue will mean it sinks in better to the audience and they'll repeat it elsewhere, which has definitely been happening. I've had people commenting, telling me that they've demolished Professor Dave in his Facebook, whatever, because of, I don't know which particular argument. I think it was Coriolis. But there we go. So, yeah, always worth asking these housekeeping questions.
Yeah, learn new things every day.
There's a Conda. There's a link to Discord in the info box below this video. I've definitely updated it. Should be working perfectly. Let me know if you have any issues. Earth radius, Eratosthenes. No, he just assumed spherical radius value, Eric.
That's if he even existed. I can't seem to find any proper historical evidence that even existed, though.
A very good point. I mean, I'm just going by the bullshit narrative. You know, I don't. There's a lot of history that seems a load of old nonsense, and that very well could be part of that nonsense. But there we go. Their narrative is that you've got these sticks and shadows, and people often declare incorrectly that that is how you get the R value. It isn't. He assumed R in that. So, no, that's not where you get R. Aristarchus.
Even Wikipedia says he made 5 assumptions.
Yeah. But the original assumption was Aristarchus. You know, he watches the curved shadow, in quotes, go over the moon and goes, well, that's obviously being caused by Earth as a sphere blocking the light and causing that curved shadow right there. So that was the first assumption.
Except when it was a half a moon.
Except when it was half moon.
Yeah, where's the curve on the half moon?
We're not talking about the phases, we're talking about eclipses.
Oh, gotcha.
That's it, that concludes the housekeeping. Thank you for taking part. So which side are you on then, Fundy Zealot?
What was that?
What side of the fence are you on?
Come again, please?
What side of this argument do you sit?
Oh, on the logical side.
So, flat earther then. Excellent.
Yeah.
Can you believe I still got that Lowry guy attacking me on Facebook the whole time?
I didn't quite make that out. Say that again, Flatzoid. Could be a language thing.
I said, can you believe that Lowry, whatever, I can't pronounce his surname, the guy you toe tagged like a few weeks ago, he's still trying to take me on.
Oh, he wants to have it out with you personally, does he, Flatzoid?
Yep.
Any particular reason?
Apparently to him, I'm just a troll. I don't know how he gets that, but yeah.
Projection. He's a troll. So that's just him projecting.
Well, I get new memes made out of me every day, so it's going well with that.
I mean, it's obviously just a question of perspective from his point of view, perhaps, or many people's point of view. Perhaps you're a troll simply because you understand that you've been deceived and are happy to talk about it. Therefore, because he doesn't believe, as you declare, then he's going to see you as a troll, right?
Yeah. Well, the one comment I had today from someone else was saying, they actually made a whole thread for me trying to say how dumb I am, but in the same sentence saying, I'm talking too sophisticated, as if that makes sense.
Speaking too sophisticated.
No, but I'm dumb at the same time.
Saying, I don't think that's grammatically correct anyway. Too sophisticated. Too sophisticatedly. Maybe. Speaking in a way that is too sophisticated. That would make better. That would be better grammar. Anyway, grammar Nazi.
Maybe I should just talk in a higher pitch in an English accent or something else. I don't know.
Where are you from? Are you South African?
Righto. Yes, I'm from South Africa.
Whereabouts did you say?
Northwest, close to the Free State. In South Africa,
So that's
yeah.
why you sound sophisticated.
Oh, we've got another Discord participant, Darren. Hello, Darren. How you doing?
Come on, Dazza.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Nathan. Hello, everybody. How you all doing today?
Very
Hello,
well.
hello.
Doing great, thanks.
Glober's out there.
No, they're too busy looking for the curve.
Yeah, the elusive curve.
Wow, we're very lively today.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's time for Johnny Globehead.
It's my bad. I'm stepping away from the microphone intermittently because there's people at the door and things going on, unfortunately. But there we go.
The people at the door.
No, seriously. There's some guy come to do like paintless dent removal on that car I bought. So I've just gone and got my wife to go down and sort it out with him. Hopefully, that won't be any more interruptions now.
Nathan,
Hey, Owen.
have you?
Hello.
Hello, Nathan. Have you managed to find that word for retrograde yet?
The word for what?
Retrograde motion, the one you were looking for the other day.
Oh, epicycles. Yeah, we
There
found
we
it on
go.
the show. Yeah, it's epicycles in the geocentric system. Ptolemaic, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it was bothering me until I finally found it after an hour searching on Google.
Yeah, it's one of them. It was. You know, you'll openly be discussing that particular model with somebody, and it'll just come off the tongue. And then when you're not openly discussing that particular model, and you try and remember what's the word for retrograde in geocentrism, and you go, brain fart. Hey, Owen, good show. How was the early bird?
Okay. I had Peanuts Clark on, and the last part. It was overall good conversation. A lot about psychology, background, blah blah. A lot of Arwin stuff. Oh yeah, and also there's supposedly this flight going over the poles. Have you heard?
It's a
Tell
bit
me
like
more.
finding water on Mars. Yes, we've heard. It seems to come up quite frequently or infrequently. Sorry, just one sec. Shout out to Trish Blythe. Can someone tell me why this profile pic is different to the one that comes up when I do a normal comment? There is a reward. Thanks for the super chat, Trish. I have no idea. I couldn't answer that if I tried.
There's lots of flights going over Poland. What's so big about it?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's supposedly gonna be live streamed. So
With a green screen. Live stream with a green screen.
I have no idea what they're gonna show it, but supposedly the flight is gonna be green screen. It's gonna be live stream. Damn it!
You gave it away.
Trick me.
Thank you.
Live streamed,
That was
right.
good.
Yes. So I wonder what it's going to be like. Are they going to pull the same trick like what they do with the ISS, and at some point, like, oh yeah, oh, we missed a connection. Oh, for just a few minutes. Oh, it's back on. Oh, look, hey, yeah, just don't talk about the sun being in a different position now, okay? And everything will be fine. That kind of thing. Who knows?
Another shout out.
Maybe
to
they're
Trish.
just going to not do it after all. That seems to be more in the line of what they do these days. Just say they're going to do something and then not do it after all.
Yeah, I'll cancel it. Another shout out to Trish Blythe. Says, Lottie gave me the answer. Here's the reward. Thank you very much. Yeah, because she's just changed her icon and it takes a couple of days to update. Well done, Lottie. 5 points to you. There is no prize.
Well, we've got a whole generation of green-screened citizens who have no clue what Hollywood does.
Or that NASA are actually the cutting edge of cinematography, not Hollywood.
One and the same.
Hollywood goes to NASA for advice.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. What was it? Lyndon.
Brenda's here. Brenda's here.
Oh, goodness.
Hey, Brenda.
Good morning.
Morning.
Ragnar Stefan Helderson says it's 80 minutes to take off.
Yeah, apparently Kubrick borrowed low light lenses from NASA, didn't he?
Oh, wait, it is actually live streaming now, I think. Oh, no, it's still the freaking 12-second loop.
Well, it's like the moon missions that they controlled the feed. All the news services had to go off of the NASA feed with a delay. They're total control junkies.
I can't oblige to that, Trish, I'm afraid. She says, I'll give you money not to hear her talk. Oh, I'm sorry. But thank you for the super chat.
So
all are welcome.
So what is your topic for disinformation today?
We're talking about north-south circumnavigation.
Oh, sure, that's been done.
Been done, like, once. By who? When?
I don't remember. I just remember looking it up a long time ago, and there's been flights that have circumnavigated the poles. Sure.
Wouldn't they be happening all day, every day? What would be the reason not to just have it happening regularly?
What reason is there to do it? There's nobody, there's no reason to do it, and it's expensive. It costs fuel, it costs time, it costs money.
Well, wait a minute. Costing fuel? Did I hear you say that? Well, if it's a shorter distance, then it would be less fuel, wouldn't it?
Are you saying that it doesn't cost fuel to fly a plane?
You're saying that if it's a shorter distance, they would use less fuel, so that argument about costing more would be fallacious, technically.
Yep.
Is it shorter? It depends on where you're going to, right?
I thought
right, so how about from Australia to Argentina? Argentina. Would be a lot shorter, right? Going over Antarctica?
There are direct flights from Australia to Argentina.
Yeah. But do they go over the claim to be a continent of Antarctica?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I haven't looked up.
No worries, Brenda. This clearly isn't your subject. It's not mine either. That's fine.
And to prove that they went over the poles, you would have to show the navigation without any bias. You'd have to show their coordinates. There's a lot of factors to determine if they truly went over the poles.
Well, is there any evidence that you would accept?
So, shout out to Plain Reality. Says, why do you keep letting Brenda on? Is it for comedy relief? No, all are welcome. Anyone can join the Discord server. If you want to join, you're welcome to also. The link is in the info box below this video. Anyone can join. But thank you very much indeed for the super chat.
Yeah, Brenda, any one of the 7 housekeeping questions is evidence. We've been asking for it. So why do you ask the silly question when you already know we've got 7 questions that have gone unanswered?
Oh, they're answered. You just don't accept the answer.
Oh, good. Show me the curve.
Oh, yeah, boats go over the horizon.
Yeah, except when I look at it, it's flat and straight. When you look at it, you say it's curved. So go get an eye checkup.
No, you don't see it flat and straight. You see boats go over the horizon.
No, I see
obstruction. You just deny your senses. You just deny what you see. You just deny what you see.
Brenda, at what distance
you mean
does
concealment?
it go over the horizon?
Brenda, we don't deny concealment. We just don't attribute curvature to it.
Why do you guys even bother with her? Like, really?
This is the best they got.
You know, and to answer your other questions, you know, gravity is a real objective phenomenon of the world.
Not a force.
All curvature, all the other questions, pressure in a container, we've given you that answer. You just don't accept the answers. That's all. You're just denialists. You just deny everything.
Okay, Brenda, let's go back to the boat. At what distance does it go over the horizon?
Or do you think the Earth is flat and then it falls off? Is
That's
that what
not
you
an
think?
answer.
So, Brenda, are you
Is that
here
what you
just
think?
to get in the way again? Or
But
are you actually going to engage in a conversation?
the Earth curves at every point, right? Because that's what
But no one can
a
ever
globe
see it.
is. The Earth curves at every point.
So why don't you see it left or right? Why only you see it going away from you? Why don't you see it left or right?
Well, we've given you the answer to that. What's our answer to that?
Why are you
You
asking
tell
him?
us.
Just give it him.
No, we've
You tell
given,
him what
we've
your
given,
answer to it is.
we
Hold
give
on.
you the answer to that. What is our answer?
I'll just repeat myself. Don't get him to give your answer. Just give him your answer.
No, I would like it if you would at least if you're going to deny things, that you at least understand what it is you're denying.
Well, you haven't told us yet.
our answer?
Well, you haven't
What is
told us
our
yet.
answer?
Hold on,
Look
stop
it up.
rumpusing. Hold on. You haven't told us yet. You're asking him to tell us what your answer is. Ludicrous. Just either
Yes.
answer him or
No, that's-
sod off.
No, that's
it's
how
not even
normal
ludicrous. It's just
scientific.
lazy.
That's how normal.
Yeah, that's how normal scientific blah 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 works. What normally scientists do is they go, well, it's been proven and demonstrated and explained. Now you tell me what my explanation is. Yeah, that's what scientists do all the time, you bonehead. I'm tired of this crap. Are you going to answer him or not?
Yes, they do. Yes, they.
Yeah, they challenge other people to explain their answers for them. Yeah, no, they don't. Shut up.
Yes,
Either
that's
answer
called-
him
yes,
or this is
yes.
the end of your conversation here, Brenda. I'm already
That's
irritated
called
with you.
steel manning your opponent. That's called steel manning your opponent.
I couldn't give a crap, right? You've been asked to give an answer and you're demanding he gives the answer that he should know.
Yes, he should.
Steal
Oh, really?
Trump's
Well,
straw.
he doesn't, so who cares? Either you give it or we move on.
Steal
You
Trump's
need
straw.
to tell me. You need to understand our response.
You haven't given
if
it
you
yet.
don't understand it after
haven't
all
given
this
it.
time, what are you doing?
You haven't
here?
given it. You've stopped and demanded that he says what he understands is the answer. You haven't actually given one.
No, what he understands our answer is. That's
Our?
what
Who the
normal
hell is our? You're
people
one
do.
person. Why do you believe you're two different people? Our? Who the hell do you think you are? Have you got multiple personality disorder? Our? You're one person.
Thinks she's representing
Our
the entire
doesn't.
body of science.
If I say our, that doesn't imply I think I'm multiple people.
Well, who the hell are you
don't even
referring
understand
to?
language.
Who the hell are you referring
You don't
to?
have-
You're one person.
friends.
Our? Who the hell do you think
Yeah.
you are? Do you think you represent somebody else here? You don't. You're just one individual, believe me. You don't represent many people.
That doesn't mean I can't use the English word our.
I don't care. You haven't given him an answer. You're going to give him an answer, or you're going to continue to demand that he answers with his current understanding of what you might answer with.
No, I'd like him to steelman my position.
You haven't given it yet.
Do you know what steelman means?
You haven't given your position yet.
He knows what it is. We've told
Oh,
him.
so we're back to this shit. End of Brenda's time here. He knows
Brenda
what it
doesn't
is.
know what her
Bye
own
bye.
point
End
is.
of Brenda's time here. I'm not going to go around in circles 15 times with you telling me what someone else on the panel knows already.
Brenda made a statement, then realized that she doesn't actually know what her own statement entails, so she just bluffed her way out of not having to show that she literally doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Sorry for swearing.
She strawmanned in the beginning of the conversation by saying that we would fall off the edge if there was no curve.
Yeah, baseless assertion.
Still don't know why you guys bother with her.
Well, I might not get away with that. Anyone on the panel believe in azimuthal equidistant global reification or not?
Hell no.
What?
Azimuthal equidistant global reification.
That
Okay,
sounds
there's a long pause
far
after that,
to
right?
me.
The
That sounds
azimuthal
so far.
or AE map is a global projection. Yep, there are no flat Earth maps. The only closest thing I've come across is the Mapper Monday. Now, there's a few different versions of it, but the one I saw in Hereford is ancient, on a cowhide, and little pictures of huts and monsters, right? It's not exactly navigatable, right? So there are no flat Earth maps. Hey, Jose.
Can you share that, Nathan? I'd like to see that. Hey.
There's a video on if you just type in Mapper Monday, mine's the first video that comes up on YouTube. Mapper, Mappa, Monday, Mundi.
Just came in for like 2 minutes. So I got evidence for curvature. It's just old school. It's easy that everybody have heard in this panel, so I don't have to give an explanation. Boats go over the horizon. Shout out to Brenda. Thank you. That's gonna be my approach every single day. Evidence for curvature. Boats go over the horizon. Thank
That's
you.
cool, Jose. Are you hanging around to be challenged on that?
No, you guys have heard this
Jose's totally right.
pretty much every
Boats
single
go
day. If you go
over
to
an
any,
apparent
I was
phenomenon.
going to answer. I apologize. You interrupted me. Yeah, so I mean, every single time you guys have had the answer to this question, I don't have to tell you that because you guys know this.
Horizon is horizontal.
You haven't. Have you heard the answer to the boats go over the horizon question or not?
Yeah, I asked you if you were open to be challenged on it, and you just launched into that little preamble. So, my first question: what's the horizon, Jose?
Oh no! So you never heard about the argument about the boats over the horizon? Before we go in,
Jose, I've heard it 4 times from you in the last 20 seconds. So yes, I've heard it from you 4 times in the last 20 seconds.
There's nothing to be challenged about.
So maybe you'd like to shut your mouth. Maybe you'd like to stop rumpusing us. We've heard you. Arwin, can you stop joining in, please? Arwin. Yeah, rumpus. But I've heard now 5 times. Jose, I've heard you say the same thing 5 times. And now you're going to run away, you little pussy bitch. Yeah, because you know you're about to get your ass handed to you. Don't want a toe tag. I thought you'd relish in the advert. Yeah? Let's just get it clear. I asked one question in response to Jose making the same claim 5 times. And as soon as I pointed out that he was just repeating himself over and over again without listening to any challenge put to him, and he absolutely heard me ask him what the horizon was, he fucked off. So he's a pussy bitch coward. You want to come back, Jose, you little pussy bitch? And actually answer one of the questions in regards to your assertion? Yeah? You've made a claim. Boats go over the horizon. My question being, what's the horizon, dipshit? You're just going to run away when you have anybody challenge your claim? Yeah? Oh, we're clearly not going to get to the point where Jose defines the word he used in his claim, horizon. Yeah, I'll just tell the audience, you fundy fuckwit. The horizon is an apparent position where the sky meets the ground. Just to be clear what we mean by apparent, the sky does not meet the ground, Jose, you moron. You and your fundies on your fuckwit channel reify an arbitrary position that's described as the horizon, where the ground appears to meet the sky as a reified edge of your sphere. It isn't, unless you're going to prove R along with your nonsense. Yeah, you're not going to assign arbitrary positions as Earth curve edges. No, my friend. That would have been what actually took place if you hadn't run away like a little coward back to your fundies who'll cheer when you say, boats go over the horizon. Yeah, none of them will ask you what you mean by horizon. Because they'll just cheer because they already know you mean edge of Earth that you've presupposed. We, on the other hand, would challenge you to prove what that position is, and if you can get there, I assure you, you're never going to get to the horizon. It's not a measurable position. It's arbitrarily defined. It's simply the apparent position where the sky meets the ground. End of argument.
That was a very concise way of breaking that down.
Yeah, coward. Didn't want to actually have the argument with us. Wanted to make his assertion 5 times. No support for his claim. Just a baseless assertion without definition of any of the terms he's used in his baseless assertion.
I think Jose did a drive-by trolling.
Maybe he thinks if he can drop a bomb of boats go over the curve. Yeah? He thinks that's going to somehow reify his religious belief? Well done. If that confirmed your religious belief, or you took that as a win, Jose, you are very sadly mistaken.
Oh, he was just trying to poke the bear. He was trying to get a response. He's in a trolling mood, and he's trying to ruckus up his audience for his stream later to brag about it. He knows that shit.
Brag about what? I came in and spouted rhetoric and then ran away. Wow.
Yeah.
That's something to brag about.
No, but he got you all angry again, or not really angry.
Took apart his argument.
For good reason, because he was just acting like an idiot. And he knows it. I think he was just trolling you.
£60 to get the dents out. That's good value. Very pleased.
Who said Jose was acting like an idiot?
because I've seen him act in many ways, and
No, that's
idiot
my
is just one of his acts.
that's my point. Maybe he just is not acting.
No, but he understands things, but he just sometimes acts like he's stupid for some kind of move to accomplish something socially or pull a stunt. Look, the guy's been a troll forever. He started
came
out
on
on
like
Discord. He even told everyone, "Yeah, I started out on Discord and
Can I
just
change the
trolling
subject?
shit and then found flat Earth."
Can I change the subject back to what we were talking about before Jose came in? So we were talking about NASA and Hollywood, and them Hollywood that being borrowing lenses from NASA for Stanley Kubrick, as the story goes. Now, I'm going to do a big shout out. I did this on Ballbusters, but I'll shout this guy out all day long, every day, which is Dilly Gill, DILLYGILL, who takes apart NASA's cinematography, if you will, and presentation, their production in general. And his most popular video is called The Space Shuttle is a Zero-G Plane, and he goes into exceptional detail, pulling apart how they do the trick, how they pull off the magic trick of outer space. So check out Dilly Gill. Go and subscribe today. I've watched all of his videos twice, probably 3 times. Wonderful videographer. But yeah, he's you may recognise the name even if you're not subscribed, because he's a mod in Jeronism's channel, so you'll see his name going by with a blue spanner in Jeronism's live chat. But Dilly Gill, go and subscribe today. Excellent videographer. Oh, shout out to Jeronism as well. Thank you very much for shouting me out. Really appreciate it on your Sunday show. Thank you. So yeah, that was designed to open up the conversation about NASA and fakery, but clearly it didn't work. well done me.
And fakery.
You just want to slag off Jose, right? Go on then, as you
NASA
were.
and fake. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, he came on. He came on as a game show host right from the start.
Right. He was very loud, so he was literally creating a carnival act. He was doing a piece for a show to try and troll everyone because he's in that kind of mood. I don't know, he's done it before.
Free advert.
Yeah, exactly. He can edit it out later and just post it on his channel.
Yeah, just for fun making, not as a serious thing, but to rile up all the trolls in his chat.
That's when you know you got a good show, when you have to go sabotage another one because you lack content on yours, Jose.
Come on, he's not really sabotaging, he's just trolling.
Well, what do you think he wants to do it for?
Attention.
That's
And
what I
money.
mean.
Because he's bored and wants attention.
I don't see Nathan going to another show doing these kind of stunts to gain audience here, because we have content. Come on, Jose, get some content.
Yeah, because he's a respectable moderator.
I don't know. He has his good moments as a moderator, but not always. It's just.
Oh no! I was talking about when on Nathan's show. I'm not talking about Jose's. Jose's fine. Yeah, he doesn't really always
Nathan
get
has
involved.
a much better format. Nathan has a much better format, much more concise, much clearer, much more durable for the long run. That's why it's been going on like this forever, because it's just
exactly
durable. Jose, because of his approach, is just gonna have to basically find new ways to amuse his audience, or they're gonna go away.
Yeah, it always has to be a shit show to be entertaining, and that's what kind of is not always fun about it.
Yeah, it can be freaking hilarious. Remember the rumpus situation with Sean and everything? It was just laughed my eyes out. It was crazy. So yeah, it's funny, but it's not the same thing as the flat Earth debates.
Nope, it has no lasting staying power.
Not maybe. Nah, probably not. I don't know. It's hard to tell. There's only one way to find out. John?
Oh my god. I'm going to have to Must remember to mute that line. Hey, John. Subtle entry. Sorry, my bad.
Good morning. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning.
Can you get this train wreck back on the rails?
What train wreck, man?
Jose came in and we've had nothing but talk of Jose. I tried to get it back on NASA, shouted out Dilly Gill, and no one. And it went silent for like 20 seconds. And then I was like, okay, fine, go on then, as you were, slag off Jose, joking. And then they all got straight back into it. So it's like, okay, give up.
With Jose, the man's a retard. I mean, certifiable. He's got a shit show over there. All it is if you remember ED, erectile dysfunction, I used to call them, have about 8 or 9 ballers, and then against one flat earther, usually a stiff. You know, they keep on going over the same thing over and over again. And then 20, you know, on his show, it's different because you could put like 20 or 30 people in his queue. So you get all the retards talking over each other. It's that show's a joke.
I know. I've experienced it firsthand.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, Jose is not completely neglecting, because he does take notice of people that can actually have a good discussion. And he'll then, like he did with me, say, okay, everybody's just over talking. Let's put them separately, just one-on-one. So
yeah, after 35 minutes.
It does kind of work, you know, sometimes.
Yeah, after 35 minutes. I don't know if you've been watching that show. It's a joke. And then what happens, as soon as somebody gets the upper hand, a flat earther has a good question, he'll sidetrack it. Because he's just above retard, and he realizes they're going to get their asses handed to him. So they'll sidetrack. Yeah, I've watched it. I hardly watch it anymore, just for laughs. But anyway, I wanted to come on. We have I just have a short presentation on this toady retard. Yeah, he's got his panties in a bunch ever since we toe tagged him.
Is that so? Okay.
He's in all the chats. Yeah.
Just do a quick shout out. Hold on 1 second. Shout out to Trish Blythe, who says, "I like this Karma QE." Is that so?
Really?
Yeah, apparently so. Right. Do you need me? Do you need to be presented? I take it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Give me a sec.
Let's see what we got. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, well, hold on. I want to intervene for just a second. I'm seeing this incredible comment by Rumpus in chat. I just want to do this. He says, this show should be taken to court over violation of Trade Description Act. What?
Rumpus, Mr. Air is not the atmosphere.
Okay, you're up. You're presented.
But did you see that?
No, wow. I didn't. I don't watch the chat.
Okay, anyway, you continue.
So, yeah, the toady retard. Let's just identify this guy. So, open link, new tab. Sorry about that. I wasn't ready. So, this idiot right here, right? I think he went on sabbatical or vacation for a while. He should have stayed. So, we got Toady, and this is what he said. Nathan and QE tried to debunk the fact that there's no Earth curve using Google, right? Which is a WGS84 projection of an oblate spheroid onto the Earth, and they think they should see drop, right? And as I keep saying, if you went at sea level 0, wherever you are on the sea, and you sailed halfway around the globe, it's still 0. Like his IQ, because you're still at sea level because it's taking you, from the center of the Earth. Apparently, Toady retard was on vacation from Captain Kangaroo Preschool when I pummeled the Pontiff Maximus of Retardia, Georgie, peddling the same inane horse shit. So, the Globetards' only port in a storm here is elevation is measured from the center of the Earth. They're trying to use a little gravity thing. I.e., every point along the surface of the Earth is equidistant from the center of the Earth. Well, you got a couple problems there, Toady. A, from your alma mater wiki, elevation is not to be confused with the distance from the center of the Earth. Have you seen this before? This is a problem for you. Let me read that again from your alma mater wiki. Elevation is not to be confused with the distance from the center of the Earth. But up here you said that it's taken from the center of the Earth. You got a big problem with your model. And number two, how in the world can they even make that claim when they live on an ellipsoid? Toady, are you seeing this? I did the same thing with Georgie. So, can you see the center of the Earth right here and all the surface points right here? Let's just crosshair this and quarter it. So if you go from the center of the Earth right here to any point on the surface, you're not going to get equidistant points. Do you see this? You retard. So you're going to have to drop your little shtick and get with the program. Okay? Thanks for your ear. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Much obliged. I like it when they get their panties in a bunch over the toe tags. I don't know what it is about them. People like the toe tags a lot. It's good. You know, it typically was the case before toe tags came along, where I'd trim out a bit and just give it its own individual title. It might get 300 or 400 views, 500 if it was a good one. And now they all get well over 1,000 with the toe tag title. It's incredible, really. Amazing what a good title will do.
Yeah, zombies don't like reminders that they're actually zombies. So toe tags kind of remind them about it, about their zombie fate.
Their level curve affliction. It just cracks me up, man, that they think they live on a level curve. I don't know how they got that.
Shout out to Trish Blythe. She says, QE held it together. Good job.
What's this person, Chris? Is it he or she?
Trish Blythe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Chris. Sounds like my therapist. Okay, so I guess I'll be calm then, right?
Depends on the situation.
It's a better QE. They have to go after my emotions and stuff now, right? So, and the power of suggestion. The power of suggestion, right? QE's being rude. So QE must be being rude, right? Just because they say it.
Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Vanilla.
How's everybody
it's just
doing?
Because they super chatted.
Let's see what I got here. It seems like it's pretty slow. What's up?
Sky?
Okay,
well, Razor, I need to know now, is your therapist a baller or a flat earther?
They took the fifth. They can't release that information. Hey, I got another subject. I got another little presentation. If you want to, if it's slow, we can talk
definitely.
about this.
Go for it. Go for your life. It is slow.
Yeah. Let's go for another one. I'm gonna go back. It was something that Ben brought up. News crash media or whatever he was, and Anon was making fun of him, like with the walkie-talkies about. I think he said something like science in the Bible, but I took that. Not as science, but there are technological statements in the Bible. So let's go over a few. We already went over this one about the first and second laws of thermodynamics in Genesis. Let's just go over it real quick. We'll go Genesis 2, verses 1 through 2. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. Now, this is a first law of thermodynamics statement, right? Because creation ended. That is, matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed. So this is a direct proxy on the first law of thermodynamics. Also, if you look at this verse here, and he rested on the seventh day, you won't catch it in the English, but God doesn't need to rest. It's more like that he gave a break to creation. He rested, creation rested. So I just want to let you know about that. All right, so the second law of thermodynamics, Genesis 3:14 through 19. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed, and her seed. Oh, the serpent has seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree, of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. So, this is what they call in Christology as the bondage of decay, i.e., the second law of thermodynamics. So, like I said, in the first 3 chapters, you're going to find the first and second laws of thermodynamics. Now, for the next one...
I've just got one question. Do you mind if I ask a question there? Sorry.
Interesting.
No, go ahead.
Very interesting. Yeah, I like it too.
I have one too.
Just where'd you get bondage of decay from? Where did that come from?
It's from Christology. That's what they call it. Bondage of decay. All of creation is in a bondage of decay.
But did they just coin that term, or what?
I don't know who coined it. It's just something that's just common knowledge.
Okay.
I have something too.
Sure.
John. The only thing I would say, and I'm a Christian also, so I'm speaking from this perspective, isn't entropy or the second law of thermodynamics necessary for certain things to function? So, like, and I think the idea of decay could be death in the human species and maybe potentially in the animal species, but the second law of thermodynamics could be necessary for things to function. Like, if I don't breathe out and exhale some even heat or sweat, which is necessary for cooling, because cooling is a form of entropy, wouldn't that be necessary?
Yeah, it's probably indirectly connected. Yep.
So I'm not sure if the idea of the thermodynamics is connected directly to decay in one sense of the word, but that's just my opinion.
Say again? Come again?
Well, I don't think the second law of thermodynamics is something God instituted. I think it's always been there. I think death...
Wrong. Before, I don't know if you just read this, but before this verse, there was no decay. In fact, it said that Adam and Eve were immortal.
Okay, I agree with that. I agree with that when it comes to the humans. I agree with that, but I'm talking about the way things would have to function in the rest of the world.
That doesn't have anything to do with what it was.
He just said, Paul, he said prior to this verse, the implications were eternal. In other words, no decay.
Well, I mean, I know the theological concept, so don't get me wrong. I understand what he's driving at. But that means the leaves that fall off a tree, there's no decay. They would just lay there undying.
No, they would not be falling off the tree.
Well, then that means the tree would continually grow and life would continually take over. There'd be no stopping or process of. There's implications.
Who says it will keep on growing? It will just be there, refresh itself. I don't
Refresh.
know.
Define refresh.
Hold on, we're talking about a context that's beyond the definition that's trying to be cited out of this particular verse. So
Right.
who cares? With all respect, Paul, no offense.
Right, exactly. And it doesn't go into any great detail about the conditions before this. So it would just be pure speculation on your part.
So basically what you're saying then is the second law was introduced at the fall. That it didn't exist before the fall, but it was introduced at the fall. I have to think about that some. I'll give you that for right now.
I've got. Sorry, I was hoping you'd get to move on there. But if you say fall, the way the timelines are detailed in the Bible doesn't necessarily mean a season as we know it, though, does it? It's just a.
No. He's not talking about a season. He's talking about sin was first introduced. The fall, the human fall.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, theological Christianese. I was speaking some Christianese there. Sorry.
Okay, my bad. Comical though, funny.
yeah, the fall that is not a season. That's too funny. I was wondering where you were going. Okay, can we move on?
Yeah, just pop yourselves on mute. Yes, you're still up. You're still presented.
Okay, we'll go into a nuclear weapons exchange. If you read it, excuse me, if you read Ezekiel, specifically chapters 38 and 39, I mean, it's breathtaking if you're into prophecy or eschatology. Now, this is the future, and I'm just going to take a little piece out of Ezekiel 39. So, behold, it is come, and it is done, saith the Lord God. This is the day whereof I have spoken. And they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire, and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows, the handstaves and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years, so that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forest, for they shall burn the weapons with fire, and they shall spoil those that spoiled them, and rob those that robbed them, saith the Lord God. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto Gog a place there of the graves in Israel, the valley of the passengers of the east of the sea, and it shall stop the noses of the passengers. And there shall they bury Gog and all his multitude, and they shall call it the valley of Ham Gog. And 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them, and that they may cleanse the land. Yea, all the people of the land shall bury them, and in it shall be to them a renown, the day that I shall be glorified, saith the Lord. And they shall sever out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months shall they search. And the passengers that pass through the land, when any seeth a man's bone, then shall he set up a sign by it, till the buriers have buried it in the valley of Hamon-Gog. And also the name of the city shall be Hamanah. Thus shall they cleanse the land. So this is called the Gog-Magog invasion, and it's still yet future. And as you can tell by the verse, when I first read this, I said, oh my God. So, number one, after the battle, the leftover weapons will provide the energy needs of Israel for 7 years. Number two, after waiting 7 months, professionals, contractors are hired to clear the battlefield for 7 months. Number three, the dead are buried east of the Dead Sea, that is downwind. Number four, if travelers passing through the area after cleanup find anything they are instructed to set a sign by it, implying not to touch it, and have the professionals deal with it. Now, this jumped off the page at me because this is typical for NBC procedures. It's nuclear, biological, and chemical attacks. I've done this myself many, many times. I've had signs and stuff and had to go through training, NBC training, to mark things, right? So this jumped off when I first read this jumped off the page at me, right? I said, oh my God. And the professional contractors, the men that they'll sever out men of continual employment, those are contractors and subcontractors. So I thought that was very interesting, right?
Any mention of hazmat suits?
No, it didn't.
Hey, John, I can second that, because when I was in the Air Force, during a plane crash, I was tasked with part of the cleanup after a plane crash, and we did that exact same thing. We would canvass a whole area where the plane crash was, and we would put little flags whenever we would find a piece of the aircraft or a body part. We would flag it. So I can second your opinion on that.
Yeah, anything? Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yep.
I was just going to say that's where the term comes from, right? Flagging.
Possibly, I guess it could be.
So just to let you know, this is still yet future in Ezekiel. He was a contemporary of Jeremiah and Daniel. We don't have to get into all that. I just wanted to pull this out just to show everyone this. Good? We're good on Ezekiel?
Yeah. You got another one? Is that it?
One more. I have to give courtesy to Dr. Chuck Missler for pointing this one out. I didn't catch this.
Before you do, just a couple more shout outs specifically addressed to you from Trish. So shout out to Trish Blythe, who says, I just think you get your brilliant points across better, QE, and I'm definitely a girl. Okay, well that's good. And another shout out to Trish Blythe. QE, you are the man of God. Be slow to anger, my friend.
Well, it's taken 3.5 years, so I know that's no excuse, but they made me. But point taken. Point taken.
I like this part of John.
Okay, you're up again, and then after
Agreed.
This, just one quick note. So once John's finished his presentation, I'm going to ask the people in the Nathan Oakley audience to stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. But we will round out the live show once this presentation is over. Just FYI.
Man, this sounds like an intervention, man. Try to give me positive reinforcement. Yeah, it's so nice. Just have a calm voice. Okay. I'll try it. Let's see how long it lasts.
Scared.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Jeremiah, and this is verse 59. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. So, I must have gone past this passage. It never hit me. So the arrow in Hebrew is katz, I think. I'm probably butchering that. It means anything shot from an engine of war, and the Greek word is boic. That more or less means the same thing. The missiles definitely fall under that category. So, of a mighty expert, that word is sakal in Hebrew. It means prudent, wisely understand, intelligent, and the Greek says the same thing. It's a hiphel participle, masculine, singular, absolute. You see, in this passage, the intelligence is in the arrow. If you read the passage slowly, you'll catch it. And the big kicker that tells you that is none shall return in vain, i.e., they can't miss. Smart weapons. Can you see it? See, their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man. Not the expert man, but their arrows shall be. Get it?
Yeah, I see the connection, but you've laid it out for us and made it nice and obvious, so thank you.
Yeah, that's all for that's the only 3 points that I had.
Cool. With that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's debating panel. If you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to Trish for smashing the super chat, and all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. You should definitely join that forum. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Sounds like the Sea Sparrow missile.
I don't know if the Sea Sparrow is not a smart missile. Guided. You know, it's the reason it's on the Flat Earth proofs is because it's guided by a pencil, whatever they call it, pencil beam laser. Well, that's what's giving it that's telling it where to go. So it's very much dumb, if you want.
So it's got a cane?
I think they're talking about the remote drone seeker killer bots. Swarm.
Yeah, the new ones have the laser built into them, but you got to step up to that, I suppose.
But even the missiles, even if it's a Sea Sparrow or whatever, there is a level of smartness to it, because if they put the pencil beam radar on it, the missile has to adjust its trajectory to maintain target. So there is a level, even if it's self-guided, which means without a pencil beam radar or pencil beam laser or whatever, or whether it's just using GPS or traffic tracking. I think either way, you've still got very smart missiles and projectiles.
There's the newest ones as well. They'll also make you a cup of coffee. They're really smart.
Yeah, I remember during the Gulf War I was in during the original Desert Storm. This is back when you could see on news footage where the lasers were, the pilots would shoot a beam, and the bomb was not a necessary missile itself, but the bomb could be adjust its trajectory in flight based upon wherever the laser was. Because if they could drop the bomb and then move the laser over to a different target, and the bomb would move to match the target. So.
Delightful.
Yeah, you're not far off with the missile making coffee. That's next.
I'm still processing the entropy thing, because it just seems like there's so many things connected to entropy for it to function properly. Because if you don't have a release of energy at some point, even in the human body, then it'll build up, and if it's not released through entropy, I think that can be detrimental to the system.
You're basing your ideas on how things work, whereas this is going to be a really sloppy analogy, but you know how in the Matrix movie he goes to the architect, the metaphorical equivalent of God in that scenario, and the architect explains that there was many different versions. One of them was perfect. Well, there's nothing to say that if you are the creator, your version of any given reality at that moment can work with whatever rules and parameters you set down. So that doesn't really concern me that it doesn't work with whatever it was changed to in terms of the decay.
Right. He's imposing the conditions after the fall to before the fall, and then taking those conditions after the fall and saying, well, before the fall that wouldn't work.
Yeah, you can't
see what you're doing, Paul?
You can't compare spring to
I
summer.
I get that at one level, and I don't get me wrong. I get that at one level, and maybe you're right. And I think even the new creation and Revelation, where there'll be no more death and decay, and then how the Son of God will be the Son, so the Son will even go away. So I get that at one level, but I don't have a problem with God changing the rules. I mean, He can obviously do that at His prerogative, I guess. And but even growth at some level, for Adam and Eve to have children, I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. And I'm still trying to. I'm trying to figure out something like you said that I have no experience of. I've only experienced the fallen world, and there's another world that I've never experienced before. So
exactly. Yeah, it's clear second law of thermodynamics, man.
Well, there's a scripture, Paul. There's a scripture that talks about the woman having pain in childbearing. That pretty much says, by the way the curse was laid on man and woman, that prior to the fall there would be no pain in childbearing. It doesn't say that directly, but part of the curse was, now you shall have pain in childbearing. So a lot of things are different when you're in a fallen world.
Well, and there is that scripture. I never could find it. And if you know where it's at off the top of your head, I remember. And I'm kind of going on the side of what you're saying, but where, like, even there in the wildering wilderness, it said their clothes didn't wear out. That would have to be some kind of supernatural event, because clothes do wear out, especially for 40 years wandering in the wilderness. So I guess God can stop entropy at any moment if he chooses to, at any time if he chooses to. I guess even the resurrection would be a second law of thermodynamics violation, because you're taking something that's dead, bringing it back to life.
Not for the creator, it wouldn't.
Hold on, go ahead. Is it Dallas? Hey, Dallas.
Hey, how y'all doing? What's going on, Nathan? Long time no hear.
I'm all good.
I was on your show on like the first 100 shows. I don't know if you recognize my voice or not.
That's that David guy,
David?
right? I remember David.
Is that the guy always making the argument why water should be sticking to a wall and all that? Remember?
No, I'm a flat earther.
He was
I'm
on
the
our side.
ding knockout. Ding knockout.
Ding ding.
Oh God, here comes the bell.
Yep, I remember this
Good to
guy.
have you.
What's up, Dave?
Oh, not too bad. Been over
Is
there
that cowbell?
Ding ding was cowbell. Yeah, when cowbell was provided, you get ding ding knockout from David when the point was made and the opponent was smashed.
Oh, too funny.
Now we're talking about the first year of the flat Earth debate.
10 years in flat Earth years.
I've been around since Mark Sargent's first show, so I've been around a while too myself. Probably wonder why I came in here. I had to come in here to defend chemo a little bit.
Oh God.
I know you guys don't want to hear it, but
Oh, that's a bad position to take.
Well, it depends what you're talking about.
But
go on.
I'm gonna go ahead. You want me to explain it to you a little bit? How you have a gas pressure without a container?
All right, but hold on a sec.
That's not the Spurs chemo thing, though, David.
Everybody sit down. Let David go ahead. Go on.
Hold on. I heard somebody. Are they in the after show?
They're not, but they're all unmuted now. So go on, Righteous Force. Did you have something to add before David gives us his explanation?
Yeah, are we moving to after show, or is there another show coming up?
There is no other than the second show only takes place on a Thursday and Friday, so that I can delay the starts.
So
yeah, I'm gonna move them. Go ahead.
Okay, just give it a second, David, and then once you're in the next room, which will happen automatically, if you can just start then.
So before David starts, is he saying he's chemotherapy?
Chemotherapy? Chemotherapy? That's brilliant.
That's new? That's new to you, Nathan?
That's new to you, Nathan?
I've never heard that one. Oh, I haven't been paying attention. Or I've just I've heard it as, or I've heard it and had just heard it separately, right? Chemo therapy.
Okay, they're all moved. So good to go.
Go ahead, David.
Well, first off, I want to say that the chemo kind of got that idea from me, but I don't think he did the research. And we've been having the same discussion over on Flat Earth Debates a little bit, but you got to remember, you're not measuring the air pressure with a pressure gauge. Like you talk about a tire, how you check the air in a tire, you use a pressure gauge. You're basically using a barometer, which is an open system. And basically all a barometer is mercury in a candy cane. an upside down candy cane where they pour the mercury in, and the weight of the atmosphere pushes down on the liquid mercury and gives you that pounds per square inch or so that's how they measure the pressure of the atmosphere, is because of the weight of the atmosphere. It's not like a lot of the words that they use, they miss the word pressure is really not what they're measuring. They're measuring the weight of the atmosphere. And so the weight of the atmosphere weighs down on that open side of the
That's
barometer.
wrong.
It pushes
But go
that
ahead.
mercury up on the other side. Where somebody said wrong, can you please explain?
Yeah, I'll explain it to you. Sure. Yeah, because it's not weight, right? Number one, you're treating the atmosphere as a single.
We're talking about how a barometer works first.
Okay.
Tell me how I'm wrong how a barometer
Well,
works.
I wasn't finished yet.
All right, go ahead.
First problem is you're treating the atmosphere as a single entity when it's not. It's an inhomogeneous, anisotropic mixture of gases. There's nothing laying on top of each other. That's your first. I could just stop right there. I will.
I will go ahead and stop there, and then I'll continue. All right, when you have a barometer, basically a barometer is an open system that takes the weight of the atmospheric pressure of the atmosphere and pushes the mercury up on an open container and pushes it up to the vacuum side of a container, and that's how you can measure the atmospheric pressure, correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. A barometer, as you rise in height, no matter the temperature, that barometer will decrease in pressure. You go from the bottom of a mountain to the top of the mountain, that barometer will decrease in pressure because there is less air at the top of the mountain than there is at the bottom of the mountain, correct?
Yeah.
Right. That's pressure.
Hold on. Yeah.
So the higher you go, the colder it gets. At 25 miles up or 30 miles up, all around the world, it is 50 below zero.
Wrong.
No planes, no man-made machine will fly above 30 miles up. No airplanes. The highest flying military jet won't go above 100,000 feet because the air runs out. There's nothing to push against.
Right,
Correct?
there's not enough pressure. Look, the temperature that Sperskimo is trying to bring forth is supposedly replacing gas. It doesn't work. There's only a correlation between pressure change and exchange and temperature phenomena, but it doesn't replace it. The pressure is still the pressure. That's
You got another.
But the point
there's another problem too. You said the higher you go up, the colder it gets. Have you heard of the thermosphere?
This is another one of those things that is unprovable by you or anybody else. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
You've got to understand that at 30 miles up, it's a constant 50. It's windless and weatherless at 30 miles up. There is no wind. There is no weather. It's a constant 50 below zero. It doesn't matter if it's 120 degrees on the ground or 25 degrees on the ground.
All right. So did you go up there and confirm that yourself?
Go ahead.
I'm going to put the same standard on you. Did you go up there and confirm that yourself, sir?
Well,
That's what I thought.
that
Thanks.
planes. I do know that planes and no man-made machines operate over 30
Did
miles.
you do
above
that? Did you do that? I don't know if you're thinking clearly, but you just charged me that I don't know that because I've never been there. So I'm going to reverse it on you. Okay?
Right.
How does that feel?
Are you talking about above 100,000? The thermosphere, how many miles up is it?
I don't really care. Have you been up there? That's my point.
Yeah.
We know that the top of all
No,
mountains
you don't
have
know.
ice.
You don't know. You're assuming.
So you're putting a standard on me that you yourself are not.
Sir, hold on real quick. All mountain tops are frozen over with ice, correct? Anywhere in the world, if you'll look in the middle of the desert at the top of the mountain, there'll be snow caps on the mountaintops, correct?
Yes.
If they're tall
So
enough.
there is a correlation. What's your point?
Okay, so
There is no
higher you
correlation.
go,
He's just
the colder it
extrapolating.
No, there is. No, but yeah, but there's a correlation. It's not a causation, though. or
No,
anything.
he's extrapolating, not a correlation.
Okay, no, I'm just making a point that the higher you go, the colder it gets.
And
Okay?
I
We
just
can
made the
agree-
point that you don't
we
know
all
that.
agree that that we will stick with what we can prove. That the top of
You
mountaintops are
can't
all
prove it. I don't know. Is there any mountains that go 30
What
to 50
makes you
miles up?
think- Go ahead.
Is there any mountains that go 30 to 50 miles up?
Sir, if it becomes colder, why would it ever become warmer? Well, how would
You're not answering my
There's no
question.
matter up there for the light to
Hold on,
hit and
hold
heat
on,
up.
hold on. Just John and David, please.
Listen, I just reversed the standard that he put on me, right? That's all I did.
Sir, I explained to you that we're going to do this from what we can see. Okay, that's what Nathan likes: empirical evidence. Okay, empirical evidence.
Empirical
proves that the
doesn't
higher
mean
go,
what
the
you can
colder it
see.
gets.
Well, empirical doesn't mean
Empirical
only what you
proves-
can see. That's another one of your problems. You don't. Can you see 50 miles up and then I don't know. What do you have in your eyes? Some type of temperature gauge?
Just my question though, David. So what the point of all this? What is the point that you're trying to prove that because Spurs made it seem like he was making the point that there is no gas pressure, it's just temperature. Are you making this or trying to make the same point?
No, what I'm trying to explain to you is how that you can have gases on the ground and they stay on the ground because of temperature. Okay. Mercury in a barometer, after 100,000 feet, mercury freezes at 36 degrees below zero. A barometer no longer works as soon as you get 30 miles off the ground. A barometer stops working because the mercury in it freezes. Okay. So at that point right there, we all know that airplanes, we have all the, you can look up any jet aircraft that has all the information about them, that planes do not fly over 30 miles or 25 miles above the ground. Okay.
But they do.
Because
They do. The highest record, I've just looked it up because I thought it was about 123,500 feet in a MiG.
Okay.
And in terms of what they do to achieve those... Hold on, I'd only just started talking, David. Hold on. So what they do in terms of the necessary ingredients for a plane to fly at that altitude is enormous, really, really wide wings because the air is very, very thin. So to generate the amount of lift, they need to increase the surface area of the wing. So you end up with these planes that look really weird on the ground with these floppy, great big wings. And, you know, they send them up and they still manage to generate lift with the reduced amount of air. So they can definitely go high.
So we both agree that there are no airplanes flying above 150,000 feet, correct?
Correct.
There are no man-made machines except for rockets that fly past this 150,000 feet.
Claimed, yeah.
There
I'll agree.
There are no man-made airplanes flying above 150,000.
Okay, fine, yeah.
Okay, so at this height, it's 50 below zero. The point that I'm making is that the temperature holds these gases. My theory is that the reason the Earth has an atmosphere to begin with is because the sun heats the oceans. That's my theory. It's my personal theory, and that's why you have gases sitting on the ground, because you have gas. It's just like the difference between pressure is the difference between hot and cold, right? Once something gets cold, those gases no longer rise because of the cold. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. You know, and David, this is not only that. This temperature argument also explains why things fall.
Hold on, Spurs.
So
right. David, so you're saying when they reach a certain temperature, they no longer go in all directions? Gases, that is.
Well, it's not about the direction. It's about the height, okay? it's just like above your head. Anybody on this flat Earth that we talk to, if they went up to the top of a 25,000 foot mountain, it's going to be frozen over. So the higher you go, the colder it gets. The air gets thinner the higher you go.
He's just repeating the same thing.
Okay.
This doesn't make any sense. What's the point?
Yeah, that's what I'm missing. The point. What's the point of this?
Look, when gases start to get cold, they eventually like shrink a little, and then they get less tendency to push themselves around and cause turbulence. So yeah, high up, technically, if it gets colder, because there's nothing there to heat up that atmosphere locally.
Save for the sun.
The atmosphere maybe go sitting still at some point. And of course,
Save
on
for
the
the
Earth,
sun.
there's constantly being heat exchanged with the Earth and the gases there that are making it turbulent. So I don't see the.
Here's something else.
Okay, so
hold on.
Okay,
hold
so
on.
what
We've got Paul who wants to interject. Arwin's just given his 2 pennyworth. I just want to hear Dave's response to what Arwin's just said before Spurs or Paul go.
We do know that the atmosphere becomes so thin at a certain distance above the ground that no man-made machine can push or fly. It's just
we
like
heard all
the
that.
highest.
We've heard all
What's
that.
your point?
Hold
heard all
on
that.
a minute. There is a world record, a helium balloon world record,
Oh my
which is at
God.
It's not a point.
153,000.
What is the point? Point. Please.
That gases only will go so high because of the temperature. Okay, it's just
Okay.
like the lie that they tell you. You know how they tell you that a balloon explodes when it goes up so high.
Okay,
You know how they show
okay.
you
Hold on,
pictures?
David, hold on. So, okay, we got that. But, okay, even if I just accept it, just on face value, so what? What's the conclusion that you draw once you get an acceptance from me or anyone else in this regard?
Where's the container, Nathan? Where's the particles bouncing off? How can there be a pressure if there's no container for the particles to bounce off?
Oh, there can't
They're
be.
just freely moving around.
Spurs.
And obviously when
Spurs,
they
you asked a
interact
question.
with-
Spurs, I don't need endless diatribe after the question's asked. Yeah? You can't. You need the walls of the container.
Nathan,
So this is explained to you. Well, I've just explained what
Hold on,
David's
10th
explained,
man.
which I was trying to explain. As the
Spurs.
particles go up, they freeze. They're not hitting anything. They just fall back down. And when temperature heats them up, they rise. Very simple.
Right,
They're not
like
hitting-
in
so
clouds,
obviously
you
when the
mean?
particles hit
Spurs,
the ground,
okay,
they
you're doing it
absorb.
again. You've made a positive assertion. Now you just need a response. So, like clouds, right? Like clouds and snow.
The volume of cold.
Hold on,
versus
David.
the volume
Hold on a
of
second,
heat.
David. Spurs, like clouds, you mean?
No, what we're talking about is a pressure versus an absorption. So obviously you get a suntan because
Spurs,
the
you just
sunlight
moved. Spurs.
is being absorbed into your skin.
Spurs.
Okay, you
Spurs,
don't.
Spurs. Why did you just completely ignore my response to your initial point? It goes up and freezes, therefore no container. Let's stick with that and let's just take it one step at a time. I said like clouds and snow. No response. Moving on from Spurs. I don't get it.
Like snow and clouds. What do you mean? So what did they hit a roof? Those particles?
Maybe it's better to talk to me, Nathan.
I just want to round this out with Spurs. So, like clouds
I don't
and
get your
snow.
point.
Is it a yes? No, it's not at all like clouds and snow. It's something totally different. Or yes, it is like clouds and snow.
Yeah, because a cloud is formed. You see the cloud. You don't have clouds above the clouds, do you? Way above in the atmosphere.
So that undoes your
Those
argument
particles
then.
that are above the Those
So
particles
basically,
above the
Spurs,
clouds-
did you just listen to what I said or not? That undoes your argument.
What is going on here?
I don't get your point.
Who knows? It's a bizarro world. You know, you have clouds at different levels of the atmosphere, right? I'm not a meteorologist, but I did sleep in a Holiday Inn Express last night.
There are no
I
clouds.
see them every day. There are different layers of cloud.
We're talking about the atmosphere. Is there a pressure?
Yes.
So what are they pressing against?
The walls of a container.
Can I say something real quick? Nathan, it's not that you're wrong, but that what you're saying, but the verbiage that the ballers use of saying gas pressure or the pressure of the atmosphere. The pressure of the atmosphere is not taken with a pressure gauge. It's taken with the weight of the atmosphere on a liquid. It's not done with the pressure gauge. It's just like when they say the vacuum of space. There is no such thing as a vacuum of space. It's just a lack of atmosphere. Because the whole thing is you got to understand something. It's just like this outer space stuff. All that happens is when you go up, is it just gets colder and colder and colder and colder. That's why they can't work.
Here we go again with the same phrase again. Okay, did you confirm that?
I don't even get what his claim is.
Just like Nathan says, empirical evidence shows us that.
And here we go again. You haven't been up there. What does empirical mean?
Is the top of all mountains frozen over?
What does empirical mean?
Sir, is the top of all mountains frozen over?
We heard this.
Does
Hold on, John.
mean?
Hold on, David. Hold on. David, we've heard your claim. So when somebody's asking you a new question, please don't just repeat the same thing. We've heard what you've claimed. Now we've got a few questions, but rather than just repeating the same claim over the top 5 more times, maybe address some of the questions that we've got.
Nathan, it's not even a claim, it's a description of something.
Either you've missed the subtlety of the claim here. This is a positive assertion that we have a void, space, a vacuum, because the gas that we're experiencing apparently gets so dense that it just comes back down again. Doesn't need to bounce off a container. That's what this assertion is. No container needed.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
The assertion is that there is no such thing as a vacuum, and Spurs is right. There is not a pressure of the atmosphere. It is an actual weight of the liquid and gases that are floating above a heated ocean and Earth. Okay, the sun goes to and heats the oceans. This is my claim. This is the way that I think about it.
It's not just your claim, it's an absolute fact. You're describing the hydrological cycle. Well, that's one of many different gas cycles.
That atmosphere can only rise so high because of the temperature above it. These gases, once they get to a certain temperature, it gets so cold that it basically pushes them back down.
What they do, David, they contract, and as they get
Sorry,
warmer,
but
they
cold
get
gas
Oh
is
God,
also
I've heard the
expand
description.
in a vacuum.
Spurs.
Doesn't make any
Okay,
sense.
do you have a?
Hold
Hold on, I'm in the middle of asking something. This is another time. I've just asked you once, David. When you get to the end of your claim, you just need to listen to the responses. So, okay, can you
Yes, sir, go ahead.
actually verify that that is the case?
that we're only measuring water pressure and not atmospheric pressure. How can that be verified?
He asked David.
I'd like to ask the question at some point. That would help.
Hold on a second, Paul. He asked the question to David.
Just repeat it. So, you've said it gets colder and colder and colder. Have you verified that to be the case?
Well, Nathan, just like you say that we want empirical evidence, we know that the top of mountains, every single mountain in the world, no matter where it's at.
Here we go
David,
again.
David, I've heard that claim. What's that, 4 times?
Okay, Nathan, let me ask you this.
David,
Why
don't
would
ask
you
me
think
something.
that you want-
It seems
why
like you're
would you
obfuscating me, David. It's getting slightly irritating. So I'll ask again. And what I want you to do before you babble on about something different is repeat back what I'm asking you. Your claim is that above Everest, in the highest of highs, the sky gets colder. Now, I'm asking, have you verified that which you have claimed in regards to the sky? Not Everest. I'm pretty sure you haven't verified that either, but not Everest. The sky.
Common sense would tell you.
So that's a no. So that's a no. I don't want to hear about common sense. Do you think I don't hear this from the fundies on the other side of the argument, David, about what common sense dictates? That would be a no. I haven't verified this. I'm just using logical deduction and common sense. No actual evidence for my claim. None. But common sense would dictate. I don't care what common sense would dictate. Not interested. You've not been there. I've not been there. I don't know what the sky is. You don't know what the sky
Go
is.
ahead, Nathan. You haven't been there. I haven't been there. Please explain. So, what would your analysis be if every mountaintop is frozen over? What would it be above those mountains?
Oh,
do you think that there
yeah,
would
no
be
worries. Do you want me to answer? Is that a rhetorical question, and are you now going to give the answer for me, or what?
I'm asking you.
Yeah, well, why don't you shut up then and let me answer? I don't know what the sky is.
I understand that.
But Nathan, you're saying you know what the atmosphere is. This is a huge claim to say that the atmosphere is pressing on us when we don't feel it. All we feel is temperature. We feel when it's cold.
The atmosphere, Spurs. The atmosphere. It's been described already. An isotropic, inhomogeneous mixture of gases. Gases?
What is that?
Press.
Hold on. What is that? What is that? I don't feel this isotropic. I feel warm and I feel cold. What are you talking about? This isotropic mixture of cocktails? I don't know what that is. I only know in the real world what I can feel, what I can sense. I don't feel moving. I don't see curvature. I don't feel pressure. Now, you're saying there is this pressure, but I have to believe this pressure. Well, where is this force? What force?
Nathan, hold on, Chemo. Can I ask Nathan one question? Nathan, why do you think there is a gas pressure?
Out of this.
That's what gas does.
Can I make a comment about the cold thing?
Why am I even asked? Why am I even asked? I'm now listening to David and Spurs because I've been asked a question. So clearly that means I'm going to listen to David and Spurs for the next couple of minutes.
Nathan, I'm just saying that you should really think about this. You know,
I've been asked a question, Spurs. Now you're babbling. I was asked a direct question.
Be quiet, Chemo.
That is the nature of gas. It presses. It presses when it reaches the walls of a container. That is by definition what gas does to give it pressure. That's what pressure is. The force exerted by the gas on the walls of a container. That is gas pressure.
So why do clouds...
Hold on, David. In a man-made... Hold on, David. In a man-made container, Nathan, yes.
No.
We can show Cavendish. We
No.
can show a force in Cavendish. Man-made.
No.
We can show pressure
No.
in a container.
No.
Man-made.
No. He just won't shut up. He just won't shut up. Wrong. Incorrect. Incorrect. Pressure is simply a quantification for how much... What the hell is going on? Yeah, I'll try again. So, pressure is a quantification of how much force a gas particle exerts on the walls of its container. Not a man-made scenario, a quantification for the force that a particle of gas exerts when it meets and presses on the walls of a container.
In container, Nathan. When this gas is expelled from the trees, for example, it goes up, 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 up. Then it gets colder and falls. Where's this container that you keep on talking about?
Why do you assert that?
Hold on, Chemo.
Well, you just made a baseless assertion. We went through this with David earlier. I said, have you qualified that in any way, shape or form?
So again, where does it come from then? This gas that you're talking about, where does it come from?
Yeah, it comes from trees and from the hydrological carbon cycles, nitrogen cycles. And I was talking, and of course that means Spurs is going to continue talking indefinitely over the top of me because I've got an answer to his direct question.
Trees, you said no.
Yeah, I'm still trying to answer his direct question. I'm still getting rumpus. Don't get it. Don't understand what's going on. Why ask me a direct question, Spurs? Why not just have a conversation with yourself? Because it's clear that when you ask me something, you're going to continue talking as I start to answer you.
I don't know why he's even asking you. I don't know why he's even asking you. He said the other day he doesn't believe in gas pressure or gases.
You just said, Nathan, they come from trees. You said, how do you know that? And then I asked you, well, where does the gas come from? You said they come from trees.
I didn't say that. You talked all over my answer. I said the carbon cycle. The nitrogen cycle? The hydrological cycle?
What is all of that? What is this nonsense, this pseudo rhetoric that's from the liars in the textbooks that we haven't measured, demonstrated, verified, or validated? Again, you're just throwing out words from John that has given you no basis for your foundation of understanding of where
Sorry,
pressure
sorry,
is.
hold on, Spurs.
Guys,
for the love of God. Yeah, I'm trying to have a conversation here. Do you mind? No, Spurs. I learnt it in about class 5 of primary school when they made me draw it out. Weren't you paying attention that day? It's not what John's taught me recently. I learnt this in primary school.
I just told you, lie in the textbook, Nathan. Lie, everything we've been taught is a lie. How do we verify what we've been told? They told us we live on a ball. We find out we don't. They told us gas pressure.
No worries,
You've
Spurs.
just found out
Yeah,
there is
no
gas
worries.
pressure
There's your
right
question,
now.
and now the babble continues. How do we confirm? Yeah, Spurs, we did this the other day with steam, did we not? So, are you denying the clouds that have been produced by heating? Oh, my bad. I'm in the middle of a sentence again, so of course that means other people should be talking right this second. Yeah. Are you denying that water, liquid, gets heated up and turns into gas, steam, and then rises into the... Oh, my bad, of course. I'll slow down a little bit and wait for the next fucking interruption from some cunt on the panel.
No, it's Spurs.
Spurs, what's your problem? You've just said that I've made this shit up. Now I'm taking you very slowly through one of those cycles you've just declared as hokum. The hydrological cycle. Yeah? And while I'm trying to detail stuff that's taught to primary school children, you talk all over the top of me like you're doing now. So...
I wasn't talking over. I thought you finished. That was all.
Oh, what? Because I'm still in the middle of the breath I'm in. Yeah, that means I'm finished because I'm in the middle of the bloody breath I'm saying. Jesus H. Christ. I haven't finished, Spurs. I'm still in the middle of talking. Yeah, I'm still not at the end of the statement because it's been interrupted 4 times by you. So, Spurs, we have water being heated by the sun, turning into a gas, and then going up into the sky and forming fluffy white things, and then falling back down again as rain, otherwise known as the hydrological cycle taught to primary school children. Now, is this just hokum, or is it self-evident?
It's because they only go so high because of the temperature.
My bad, I was talking to Spurs.
Everything that you've just described, Nathan, is water. We only measure water pressure, whether it rains, whether it hails, whether it's snow. We can measure that pressure, of course. But we're talking about the atmosphere. You keep going from water to water.
Spurs,
You're not even
do
talking
you
about
realize
atmosphere.
how you just glossed over his whole point?
Chocolate, hold on.
You're describing water.
Spurs. No, my friend. Water vapor's a gas. And you know what you can do with that gas? And the pressure it creates? You can power things with it, my friend. With that pressure created by that gas. You can have a steam-powered car. They did it 100 years ago, mate. Knowing that gas created pressure. Oh my God, do I have to kick you out, Spurs? Do I have to kick you out? What is your malfunction? I'm in the middle of a sentence.
He said man-made.
Spurs, understanding that gas produces pressure, and the pressure, the quantified amount of force that the particle of gas exerts on the walls of its container, that understood principle has been harnessed over 100 years ago. Now, this isn't something I've made up. This is definitely something taught to school children that is easy to confirm and easy to verify. And yet you're telling me I'm just making this stuff up. I'm not. Gas is produced in the hydrological cycle and then goes up, condenses, and comes back down again. That's definitely the process of producing gas. It's one of many, and it was taught to us as children. So you're wrong. No, I haven't just taken what John's told me. I paid attention when I was 8.
Okay, why do the clouds only go so high, Nathan?
Spurs.
Why do they
Spurs.
And why do they...
He's finally not interrupted. Are you two a tag team?
This just for some clarity here. This conversation is ongoing in the other server.
You mean this rampant increase of psychotic behavior? Derailing.
No, it has nothing to do with psychotic behavior. It's
Yeah,
just
it
basic
does. It is
human
literally saying
interaction
everything.
where humans discuss
Absolutely
things like, you know,
everything of
humans, like they
inclusion.
communicate ideas and they exchange things between each other to gain further clarity and insight and an understanding of the world they exist in. You fuckwit.
And that's continual ignorance.
No need for that, Tom. That was quite a good little.
Is that a part of that?
That was quite a good little description there. What was it, Merlin?
Merle, please be quiet.
Why? That was a good little interruption, apart from the ad hom at the end.
Can I say something?
While
now?
that's all cool, Spurs is over here denying the hydrological cycle, and water does evaporate and it does rain. So water does evaporate and it does rain. So something's going on there.
What does water have to do with the atmosphere? I thought you were measuring the atmosphere, not water pressure. I thought it was atmospheric.
Excellent. Yeah,
Now
your
you're talking
description.
about
Yeah,
water.
okay, Spurs. I'll address that. Your description is encompassed in the hydrological cycle, and when I asked you if you'd verified that process taking place above the clouds and that process and hardening into ice, therefore negating the need for a container, you didn't have an answer, and neither did your compadre. Neither of you have verified that, and it's part of a process that's pre-existing, the hydrological cycle. So this only seems to be a route into having an explanation for gas pressure without a container that benefits the Fundy argument. So I don't really understand why you two are having it. What's the necessity to create this bullshit? Maybe you can answer that.
Okay, so I'm talking about the stuff that comes out of the... Hold on a second, Dave. David, hold on a second. We can get to that. I'm talking about the stuff that comes out of the trees, as you described. You're talking about the stuff that comes out of the ocean. Once again, we're talking about water. The atmosphere, the stuff we breathe, the oxygen, comes from the trees. Now, how is this pressurized? How do you measure that pressure? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Sorry, Spurs. Do I have to do it for every single cycle? If I do it for the carbon cycle, will we move on to the nitrogen cycle with you saying, oh, well, how do you prove that? Is it not satisfactory with simply one of them to prove that we do have gases produced at ground level? Is that not satisfactory? Do I have to do it with all of them?
Yeah, no, because if you're talking about water...
Right, so if I don't need to do it for all of them, why is it that you haven't accepted that we definitely have the hydrological cycle, and now you're asking me to prove the carbon cycle produces gas? I've already proven it with the hydrological cycle. It's self-evident. You can watch it happen. So I don't need to do anything more than debunk your assertion, and I've done it.
What you've done is describe H2O, water, what water can do. Not once have you demonstrated or even verified that the pressure from the trees is actually being pressurized in this place that we live.
Yeah, I have. I did it. Yes.
Now, again,
so you are going to
talking
strawman
about
me. So
water.
Spurs. Yeah, I just explained this 20 seconds ago. I've not done it with the carbon cycle. I picked the hydrological cycle. Now, what I'm asking is, even though I've made my point that we definitely have gases produced, and they definitely produce pressure, pressure being the definition given to the force exerted on the walls of a container, I've done that with the hydrological cycle. My question was, are you just going to hand wave dismiss that, even though I've made my point already, and now ask me to do it with the carbon cycle, ignoring the fact that I've already proved my point?
Can I speak now?
No.
Yeah, for me,
no. Go on,
for me,
Spurs.
Nathan, this makes no sense whatsoever. You're presupposing that because what happens with water, it must happen with the gases in nature.
It makes no difference to my argument. It makes no difference to my argument. In fact, it directly addresses your claim of water turning to a solid high enough up in the atmosphere. That's why I picked that cycle, because it directly addresses your claim. So no, while it might not make sense to you, Spurs, it does make sense to children, and we watch it daily. Now, no, it doesn't address the trees, because I didn't pick that particular gas cycle. I picked one that addressed your claim.
Chemo, can I talk now?
Sure, why are you so keen, David? Why? I'll ask David a quick question, Spurs, if you can let me. Why are you so keen to peddle this nonsense, David? Yeah, I want to know why you're so keen to peddle this.
Things that you can't explain it, Chemo. That's the problem that we're having, okay? So
well, I want to know why you're so keen to peddle this nonsense. I've already established with you, David, that you're just using what you call common sense.
No, sir. I'm just trying to explain to you that the verbiage of words that is being expressed by you and by the globe earthers is not the right verbiage for what we're trying to explain here. The earth pressure of
because the globers believe in gas pressure of any sort, we must take it out of our words. Is that really the strategy here?
You interrupted me again, and I didn't interrupt. I tried to be quiet. I asked for my time to speak. The word pressure, gas pressure, is not the right word. I understand what Nathan says, but just like he said, water evaporates. It goes up so high, it gets to a certain temperature, and then it falls back to the ground because of the temperature. Correct?
Well, that's part of the argument I just had with Spurs about the hydrological cycle. Your assertion being that occurs... I hadn't finished talking, David. That occurs, according to you, above 150,000 feet. That's what you said, and this is the reason we don't need a container. My question to you is, why are you so keen to peddle this nonsense, given that you haven't verified it, and it only assists the fundies side of the argument?
Nathan, I'm one of these people, and you ought to know me, that I try to figure... I'm the one that has had to explain this to them. They're the ones that tell me that the atmosphere of the Earth is not caused by the oceans. My whole premise is that the only reason the Earth has an atmosphere is because the sun evaporates the oceans.
Yeah, we know that.
They'll tell you that is not true.
We know.
Okay, these are my own ideas and my own.
It's not your own idea. It's called the hydrological cycle. It's not your idea.
I understand that, but they don't agree with that.
Who cares if they don't agree? If they don't agree with the hydrological cycle or the carbon cycle, it makes no difference to whether or not these things exist. So if they deny it, what are you asking me for? Some affirmation of your nonsense simply because someone doesn't agree with things that actually occur, like the carbon and hydrological and nitrogen cycles?
I just want to tell you that temperature is pressure. Temperature is pressure. Temperature is pressure. That's what temperature is. It's just like if you compress air, it gets hot. If you release air in a small, it gets cold. It's like if you have
this is Boyle's law.
A thing of air.
Okay, yes, we know. This is Boyle's law. We know. Hot. We know. We know. It's Boyle's law. We know. This isn't your idea either. It's Boyle's law.
Exactly. I agree with you. That's the truth. But the point being is that the word pressure is not the right word because we're surrounded by cold.
So what?
The outer space is cold.
There it is. There's his motivation.
This is the weirdest.
Hold on, Chocolate. There's his motivation.
Argument.
Oh, shut up! Can you all shut up?
Right now.
Can you all shut up, please? Thank you. There's his motivation. He's just said outer space is cold. The only motivation to do this, shill, is to punt their narrative. You're not a flat earther. The only reason you're saying pressure, the amount gas presses, is the wrong word, is because this basically undoes their argument of space. And there he is saying he's a flat earther, telling us about outer space.
I'm not saying there's outer space. They can't go to outer space. It's too cold.
Yeah, this is bullshit. You're
How is it too cold if it doesn't exist, David? Are you kidding?
You're a shill.
No, it doesn't exist because they
can't go there. The colder it gets.
This is just now spouting rhetoric. We know about Boyle's law. The two are intrinsically linked. I understand that. Yeah? This doesn't in any way affirm your argument, and your argument's only purpose is to affirm space, outer space, a vacuum, by describing some way of having that without affirming anything to do with the sky. And, as I say, the only purpose is to undo this pressure argument. Pressure is how much it's pressing. It's just that simple. You're not going to undo this argument. My question has still not been answered. What's your motivation? Because, as far as I can ascertain, it's to affirm the Globeheads argument. Pretty much the same conclusion we came to last time when you departed from the Flat Earth debate.
Can I get them to define what they mean by hot and cold and define what's going on to cause that to occur?
What's happening, Nathan, is that because this is
Wait a minute.
a big...
I want my definition because I think this will help, and I have something to say.
Go ahead, Paul.
What define heat and cold, and define at what's going on at those levels, and what is temperature. Define all those terms because I have something I want to bring up. Once you define those terms, define what's going on. When you say heat, what is occurring to have heat? What is occurring? Define it. Hello? Hello?
You're not getting anything back, I'm afraid, Paul. I don't know why.
I don't even know why either. When heat is let me ask another question. Which transfers heat better, a more dense object or less dense object? Another question.
You have below zero, right? There's Kelvin, which is 270.
No. You not define the terms. You're defining what you're seeing, but you're not defining my terms. There's a very specific reason for me at defining the terms. What is heat and what is cold? Define those and what's going on at whatever level with an object. When I touch something and it feels cold, what is it causing it to be cold? When I touch something and it's hot, what's causing it to be hot? Define that for me.
How will you know that? How will you know that, Paul?
How do I know that? Because I experience it. I can reach into my fridge. I can reach into my fridge, grab out an ice cube, and it's cold. I can reach over and turn over my stove, and it's hot.
Man, that's man, then, is it? Man is the cause. Then they built a fridge. They made it cold, and that's the cause.
You can see plenty of Hold on. Let me just nip that in the bud, Paul. No, you can see exothermic reactions in nature. This is horseshit.
I know. I can go to.
So what about the stars?
And experience it.
Yeah, this is all
Well, I
horseshit.
think you're missing the point here,
You're still talking
Paul.
about this
The
nonsense. I
point
just
is-
went and got breakfast. I'll tell you what.
It's not
You guys go on Pete and Pete's channel, okay, and then discuss this, because you're bogging it down. We can't get to the big stuff because you're ignorant. Okay, so just go to Pete and Pete's. Thanks.
Hey, sometimes if you're not correct about something, it's not me. I'm just telling you what I've figured out. And when you're not checking the pressure of the atmosphere with a pressure gauge, you're checking it with an open system where you're taking a liquid, which actually, if you close the liquid up, then it'll measure the temperature. That's all.
Define temperature.
Mercury is what we use to measure pressure.
Define
And it is what we,
right?
Define temperature.
Here we go again. You said the same thing.
Why yell at someone that's looking for clarity for the nature of their existence? Like, why be aggressive?
Because he said the same thing 7 times. And every time he gets asked a question, it's another one of them.
We've got emotions and feelings and a consciousness.
You're jabbering on, Mel.
Mel,
I'm trying to answer you. You said, why be aggressive? It's just through frustration. So we've heard the same thing from him about 6 or 7 times. And then when he gets asked a direct question like, define temperature, he just says the same thing again. And it gets frustrating. We're trying to progress the conversation. So if he's interested in learning, then maybe he'd answer a few questions and progress the conversation. But instead of that, he just seems to prefer to interrupt and make sure that points don't get heard by an audience that's listening. So, like now, I'm in the middle of this sentence, and both the person who I'm answering, Meryl, and David, have both talked while I'm in the middle of this breath. Literally, one breath. Both of you interrupting me. So that's frustrating. That's why people get annoyed. Secondly, the question's been asked several times, so it seems like somebody's repeating a point, but they're not. It's just not getting answered. So maybe if Paul asks
I'll
again
answer.
how temperature gets defined by David, he might answer and the conversation might progress. Or he'll get aggressive because he just repeats the same crap for a seventh time.
I'll answer the question. It's above or below my body temperature. That's what temperature is. Above 98 degrees and below 98 degrees. My body temperature is my gauge of what temperature is. Does that answer your question?
No.
No, that doesn't actually.
Why wouldn't it? You're going to know if
Because
it's hotter
I've
or
also
you're going to
asked
know
you.
if it's colder
I've
just
also
by
asked
your
you what
body
define what.
temperature. You just take your clothes off,
What he
and
does
I'm going to
is,
know if it's
let's
72.
shut him up. So what he's done is, he's asked you a direct question and then babbled indefinitely after. They all seem to do it. Ask you something so that you start talking to answer them, and then they carry on indefinitely, babbling and babbling and babbling, while it seems like you're interrupting them. In reality, he's asked you a direct question, and you're trying to answer him, but he won't let you.
So you're saying what you're defining then is temperature is my perception of something occurring in the world. Is that what you're saying?
That's why the Earth is flat, is because of my perception and your perception, right?
Okay, now don't red herring me. Don't red herring. Don't throw that off. I'm asking you a direct question. Is that what you're saying?
Because of perception, correct?
No.
You have a perception of
No, wait a minute,
what the
don't-
Earth
Erwin.
is. Because water's always level. That's a
So you-
perception, right?
Okay. Okay. I'm just asking to be clarifying. It's a simple yes or no question answer. Am I understanding
I
you
answered-
correctly? Temperature is my perception of something changing in the world.
Yes. Just like
Okay.
my perception
Okay,
of the Earth
wait a
is
minute.
flat because water's always level.
Okay, you've been talking the whole time about pressure and temperature, so we're going to talk about it, but then we need to define it, and we need to understand what's going on and what your perception of it is, what my perception is, what everybody else in this panel's perception of it is. So now I've asked the other question: define to me what cold is, and define to me what heat is, and tell me what's going on at the surface level, either on my skin or on the surface. What's causing this heat or cold? Tell me what's causing that.
Do we want to define it as a perception? Because that's all we have is our perception, correct?
What's causing it, Dave?
What's causing that?
Friction.
What's causing that perception in my skin, or causing that something else? Yeah, what's causing it? Good question.
Well, heat is caused by friction, right? Generally, heat is caused by friction.
What's when you say friction? What's happening at that level of friction? What's occurring?
It was just like we expressed how you hot air. If you compress air, it becomes hot, and when you release it, it becomes cold, right?
So so you're saying I mean, some of it muffled. So you're saying heat is something.
We all know what temperature is. It's a given that anything above our body temperature is hot, and anything below it is cold. So I don't know what you're.
No, he's just asking what's causing it though. What's the cause of the heat and what's the cause of the cold?
Exactly.
Well, I would imagine that it would depend on what the circumstances. If you're standing on top of an iceberg, it's cold because you're standing on an iceberg. If you're standing in the middle of the Sahara Desert, it's hot because you're standing on hot sand. What do you want me to say to you?
That's heated up by the sun and other things like that. Right.
So why?
Sure.
Why? Okay. Is boiling water hot and ice cube cold?
If you measure it with a mercury thermometer, that's the way it's measured. Yes.
Okay.
The same way you measure
So what do I do to change? Can I change the state of water from a liquid to a solid to a gas? And what's the process? What's going on at the bare minimum level to cause that to occur?
But I don't understand why we're going down this rabbit hole.
It's not a rabbit hole. It's clarity. It's a good question. It might be simple. It might be obvious, but it's helpful.
Because you've been talking about this all the whole show, and you're dismissing what Nathan's saying. You're dismissing what everybody's saying, but this is fundamental. This is basic. So we have to start with basic and build up to the more complex. I'm talking about basic now. So go ahead. What causes something go from a solid? Why does water go from a solid state to a liquid state to a gaseous state?
Well, you heat water up and it turns into a gas. We all know that.
Okay, what is heat? Okay, you said heated up. So what is heat?
Heat is from. If you're talking about man-made heat, or are you talking about heat from the sun? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Why don't you go and get a citation for temperature and heat instead of just winging it?
I don't understand what the point he's trying to make. If you get to the point that he's trying to make,
Just humor him, David. Just humor him.
Go get a citation on temperature and heat and solve it.
I think that was addressed to you.
It's a fair question, Dave.
Go ahead and answer it, Merle. I don't know what he's trying to get at. Go ahead.
It's I'd say fluctuations in temperature. So if you've got ice and you want to heat it up and you want to make it into a liquid, you could put it on a stove and you could melt it. And then if you want to turn it into a gas, you could turn the temperature up even more, and it will start to evaporate the liquid and become a gas and evaporate into steam and on like that.
Okay, now, but he defined temperature, and this is where it gets muddy. He defined temperature as I experience. So, if I'm experiencing, so how is me experiencing something changing the temperature of something, or changing from hot to cold? So I'm using his definitions now. Now I'm not, but that's part of the clarity here. So if temperature is my perception of something occurring, how does that have any causal effect? I'm changing. You said I'm changing the temperature, but what he said was that it's an experience. Temperature is an experience.
No, it's not an experience. I never said the word experience one time. I said temperature.
No, I asked you I clarified it. It was a yes or no question. I said, what you're telling me is temperature is my perception of something occurring in the world, or my experience of something in the world. And then you said, yes, that is right.
Well, I mean, unless I could be standing in a room and then you have a thermometer on the outside of a room, and me looking at the thermometer, and I would know that mercury thermometer is reading 100 degrees and I'm standing in a 72-degree room. I don't know what your point is. And I'll know that.
Well, there's something you're missing in this whole discussion that's part of the discussion. So, but that's what I'm trying to get to, but you're still not getting it.
But you got to understand something. When they measure the atmosphere, the pressure of the atmosphere, they use an open container. It's not like a barometer is a closed container.
That's okay. You're talking about a device. You're talking about a device or convention. That's what you're talking about now.
Well, that's what you guys argue.
Mercury is a device.
How can you have pressure? The argument is how can you have pressure without a container? That's all I'm saying is that you have to look. You can have pressure without a container if you're surrounded by cold. The Earth is surrounded by cold. We know that mountaintops.
Sorry, let's shut him up. I asked him 3 times as he verified that, and what I got was it's common sense. Stop making baseless assertions, especially after I've ripped them to shreds. Can you stop doing that, please? It's starting to piss me off. What part of
you can visually see?
Excuse me, David. Yeah. What part of I haven't verified it, it's just common sense, didn't you like? I'd appreciate it if you don't keep just asserting that is the case, because it isn't. You haven't verified that. We're not surrounded by cold. You're just making that shit up.
But even if you are surrounded by cold, I think I have an explanation, and I've already kind of alluded to it.
He made the same claim an hour and a half ago. It's the same claim, people.
He's desperately trying to bring it back onto space. He really wants to create the argument that we can have space. This little bullshitter came in about 18 months ago, claiming to be a flat earther then, and steered all of the arguments towards the globe side of their rhetoric. And now he's doing it again. He's steering the argument. He's poisoned Spurs. Now he's talking all over me. Yeah, he's just a globehead. He's a liar because he's not a flat earther. If you were a flat earther, there'd be absolutely no necessity whatsoever to make up bullshit about being surrounded by cold so you can answer the question, how can we have gas pressure without a container? Because it serves your ends zero if you're a flat earther.
Have you ever heard a Glober say this? No, you have not. This is from me. This is my own personal thoughts.
Bullshit.
He's also
claimed that Boyle's law's his, and the hydrological cycle is his idea. Just total bullshit.
Can I say one thing?
What did he?
So,
whoa, wait. What did he say? I went and made breakfast. He said Boyle's law is his.
Yeah, that was his idea. When I pointed out, he said it was his idea of how it worked, and then he described the temperature and volume being inverse, and I said that's Boyle's law. And he was like, because prior to me pointing that out, he was describing it as, now he's rumpusing the shit out of me, let's shut him up. Prior to that, he was describing that as his idea. The only purpose in this rhetoric is to get us to concede his point, which is what he wants. What he wants is just to say, yeah, pressure's not the right word here. No, that's not the right word.
It's not.
He gave himself.
You're not measuring pressure with a pressure gauge. The pressure gauge is how you measure the pressure of a tire. You're not measuring the pressure of the atmosphere with a gauge. You're measuring it with an open container filled with a liquid of mercury.
But you're still measuring pressure, right? So that there's still pressure, right? Dave, what is your point?
It's not the pressure.
The point is, and I can vouch for him here, this is coming from Jem's room, is the possibility that there can be pressure without a container, and the reason for the pressure differential, right, is the temperature. So the thing that keeps the pressure in is the cold, and it's not a solid barrier like a dome or something like that.
Yes.
This is the conjecture.
Do us a favor.
Yes,
don't bring. Oh, excuse me, Tent. Do us a favor. Don't bring any more nonsense from Gem Server in here, because we'll start to lose IQ points, and a lot of people on this panel have lost a lot already today. Thanks.
And the reason I was doing what I was doing, just so everybody knows, I've just shown, obviously through the questions I was asking, that he doesn't fully understand what's happening. He's just throwing out terms and not understanding the definitions themselves.
Exactly.
So how can he
can't even define temperature.
describe anything if he doesn't understand what's going on?
Right.
He's already
he couldn't
admitted
define temperature or heat. Right.
You go ahead and define temperature, then, smart guy. Go ahead.
I'm not doing it. He asked you.
No,
you
go ahead. You're the genius over here. You're the one-trick pony. Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question,
the
please?
one-trick pony. That is so cool. It was one pony trick. Get it right.
So,
well, go ahead.
Exactly how I remembered it.
Nathan, I'm not trying to be a baller here. I'm just trying to explain to you that at least I want to look into things before I make a full claim that you can't have pressure without a container. The Earth does not have a container as like a balloon.
Boom, and there it is. That's why he's here. He needs to punt the Fundy's rhetoric that Earth isn't a closed system. He needs it to be an open system. I wonder who else needs Earth to be an open system. Possibly next to a vacuum. Oh, the Fundies need that. So this claim flat earther says that we don't need a container.
A space. Okay, there is no vacuum.
I'd just say one other thing. While I was pointing that out, he was rumpusing the living shit out of me. He's a glober through and through.
Nathan, you got somebody disagrees with you on the glober all of a sudden.
Yeah, because you don't need this argument if you're a flat earther. Yeah, outer space is fake. It's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. You can't have gas pressure without a container. Gas needs to press on the walls of a container in order to be gas pressure. You're saying, oh no, that's not the right word. Well, why? Oh, well, because we need outer space. Why? Oh, we don't need a container. Well, no, mate, that violates a natural law. That's our argument. You haven't undone it, but you seem to be trying. Under the guises of being a flat earther, apparently.
It's true, Nathan. They just push David a lot on this point. It's like, where's the dome? La la. They punk us all the time. They think we're idiots.
What dome?
Hey, David, I'm gonna get this in one way or another. How far is the sun in your model?
Say that again, sir.
You say it's all temperature. How far is the sun the cause of your temperature in your model you're describing? How far is it away from our atmosphere?
I have no idea, sir, how far the sun is. I agree with all Nathan. I agree with all your housekeeping, but the word pressure, that you have to have pressure with the atmosphere, is I just don't understand why you guys try to act like you're measuring the pressure of a tire.
Can I finish? You're just changing my question.
You're not measuring it with a pressure gauge.
We're not measuring
it at
all.
Forget the gauge.
Hold on. Who's measuring it? Who's measured the sky? Hands up.
That's how they measure.
Hands up. Who's measured the sky? Nobody? So when I said I don't know what the sky is, all you bullshitters are just making shit up, right? Like NASA and the fundies on Gem server. Yeah, they just make shit up about the sky. Me, I say I don't know, I've not measured the sky. But we'll make all these logical conclusions, and this is common sense, and this is what we can infer. No, I don't make any of those claims.
Can I ask David a
Who's making
question?
the claim that there's pressure then?
It's self-evident.
Yep. Dave, let me
What
ask
are
you a
talking
question.
about? It's self-evident.
We have gas.
You
We're breathing
think
it.
because of the water
Hello, we're breathing it.
evaporate,
You're breathing
that
it right
has to
now.
have a container to evaporate?
This is where
Or would
Spurs
it
has.
just-
This
or
is
would
where
that
Spurs
water
has got
just
to the
reach
point
to a
where he
point
denies
that
gas
it becomes-
pressure. That's where this ridiculous argument takes you. You've got to deny the very existence of gas to have this argument with us.
Ask him if
Okay,
gas
Nathan,
exists.
if you took just water
Is gas
and you
real?
evaporated
Yeah,
it,
good
and
question.
you were-
Is gas real, David?
let me-
David,
let
is
me-
gas real? Is
Can I say
gas
one thing, please?
is gas real?
Nathan, can I say one thing?
I'm asking you a question.
in
Is gas
giant
real?
room-
He's just going to obfuscate, Merle. Are you going to step in, Merle, and moderate? Is gas real,
All
David?
I want, gas is real, Nathan.
I'm
and
not
all I
asking
wanna
you that.
say,
I'm asking
just
David.
really quickly, as
Yeah,
quickly
we all
as
know
I
it's
can,
real.
is-
We all know it's real, Merle, but he
Well,
isn't
look,
answering me for some reason. He's obfuscating.
I just want you to know, with all due respect, Nathan, that after your shows, the conversation continues. 24/7. This
Oh, what?
conversation is on day after day.
And
it
make
picks
sure
up
not
where
to
you
get
leave
any
off.
more
And it's not to
psychotic
blow
That's
smoke up
fascinating.
your ass. I just
Maybe I
want
can
you
get
to
an
know
answer to
that.
my
I'm sure
question
you
while
do,
the
but
conversation's happening now, which would be: is gas real, David?
Gas is real, Nathan, and so is cold. And gases contract in cold. All gases will freeze. You got to understand that.
What?
You cannot
Freeze,
go
you say?
below
What the hell is he
Kelvin.
talking about?
Did you say freeze, Dave?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Freezing gas.
Yes, all gases
I'll-
freeze.
hang on. I can actually answer this.
Are
without
they no
experience.
longer gas then, or they just get really
Gases
cold?
will be pushed down. Gases will not rise. The gases have a certain point that they'll no longer rise because of temperature. Oxygen will only go so high. Water vapor will go
Right.
only
So
so high.
I get it. Is your proof for all that walking outside?
Yeah,
Or
when
do
I
you
go
have
and I
any
look at a
actual
mountain top and it's
demonstration
froze
to give
over, I
other
know
than
that
walking
above that
outside?
mountain top it's colder and colder and colder. Yes, it's very simple way of looking at things because I can see it just like I see the
not a
water is level.
demonstration.
I know that above these mountains it doesn't re-warm
Here
up.
we go
Okay,
again.
why
Baseless
would it warm
assertion
back
time.
up if it's cold above the
Why'd you
mountains?
keep making this baseless assertion? How many times?
Not a
I said you'd piss me
demonstration,
off if you
David.
made it again. So you haven't measured the sky. Why'd you keep claiming it? I don't really understand why you keep making this baseless assertion.
Nathan, it's just about setting the record straight. It's not about being. You have to.
You're not setting any
You're
record
not
straight.
setting any
You're
record
just making
straight.
it
Just make
up.
crazy
You
assertions.
just, for sake, you're just making it up. You're not setting any record straight with your. It's common sense. What kind of record do you think's set straight that way?
Okay, Nathan, do you believe the atmosphere gets hotter above the mountains? Do you believe that after you go up and it's frozen, that you keep climbing and then all of a sudden it starts getting hot again?
Like anybody gives two shits what I believe. I don't give a crap what you believe happens above the mountains. And if anybody is interested in what I believe happens, they're an idiot.
We know that there are no.
You didn't
clouds
listen to me,
flowing.
did you? Shit for brains. You didn't listen to a fucking word I just said, did you? Repeat what I just said.
You said I don't give a shit about what's in the sky.
No, that's not what I said, you dumb fuck. Try listening and stop talking over me, you ignorant prick. Listen up. Anybody who says they are interested in what I believe the sky is a retard. Because my feelings, thoughts, and beliefs about what the sky is are totally unimportant. About as unimportant as your beliefs and declarations and baseless assertions about what you believe the sky is. Let me get it clear. Let me get it straight with you, David. I don't give two fucks what you believe the sky is. Is that clear? Stop declaring what it is. I'm sick of it. Your baseless
Well, it's
assertions
just
do
like you
not
say-
fly. Shut the fuck up. Your baseless assertions don't fly here, David. I've already taken it to pieces about 3 or 4 times. Stop telling us what the sky is. I've had enough of it from the stupid fundies who tell us the Earth's a sphere. Now you're doing it. Don't tell me what the sky is, especially if you haven't gone and checked. Okay, mate? Stop it.
How come we can't have just a normal conversation here? How come that some
I'll answer you, because you have decided that you're going to demand that I accept your baseless assertion with no evidence. Just like the fundies who tell us we live on a sphere, you've made up a little story, and now you're going to argue for 2 hours solid about the baseless assertion you've made and how it must be true. You've got no evidence to back your baseless assertion, yet you keep making it in the face of any rebuttal. You're rumpusing the shit out of us when we point out that you're wrong about some of your claims, and when it comes to the point, the only point this actually leads to, it's a demonstration that we can have gas pressure without a container, the necessary antecedent to have gas pressure. It doesn't undo our argument, and it doesn't assist any flat earthers who have this argument, as you claim to be. So it serves no purpose other than to undo, or attempt, with obfuscation and rumpusing and bullshit baseless assertions about what the sky is. It only serves the purpose to try and validate an impossible medium of space, as you've already declared here. That's why. So I'm tired of your baseless assertions. You keep claiming that the sky is something that you know about, and you don't. Neither do I. Then you challenge me to give my beliefs about it like anybody cares.
Okay, can I say something now? How are we measuring the pressure? The gas pressure of Earth is measured with a barometer, correct? That's the only reason we know there is a...
Round and round in circles we go. I'm tired of this. I don't know about anybody else on the panel. This has gone round in circles about 6 times now.
Yep.
Oh no! Give me 8 more hours of this, please.
All right. Well, anyway.
Well, David, just to put a full stop on it, can you hear Nathan as well?
I understand what he's saying, but it's because of temperature that these gases no longer rise.
Prove that.
Keep asking that question, then you didn't understand his question. That's the problem, David. Or you wouldn't be asking that question.
Okay, at what temperature does molecular motion cease?
Well, we know that it becomes windless and weatherless, and airplanes can't fly over 30 miles high. So, what do you want to say?
Answer my question.
I just want to.
Zero Kelvin, John?
There is no vacuum of space, okay?
He's not going to answer you. So your question's been completely ignored. He's going to change the subject and ignore you, John. So just out of interest, is absolute zero not only the? It's not even. It's not a real thing, right?
Yeah, you can't get there.
Okay. Was that intentional as opposed to a malformed question?
No, because he said more or less that molecular motion ceases. That's what he was implying heavily.
Right.
So his entire argument.
He's a good soldier, guys. He's a good soldier.
He could be a good soul. I'm not here to judge where his heart is. I just listen to people's claims. That's not my job. I'm not a diviner of people's motives or intents. I don't do it. Right? I only listen to his claims, and they're preposterous.
Claimsable.
Hey, Nathan, I just wanted to give you something to think about. I'm still on it. Believe me, I'm fighting the hard fight, and then Merle will tell you right now, I defeat these guys continuously on all these arguments. This has never been explained to you the way I'm explaining it. Okay? There's not been one person, baller or flat earther, that has ever come on here and explain to you why your assertion of this gas pressure is being the way that it's being measured is not with a pressure gauge. It's being measured with a liquid. It's a whole different situation. I understand.
I don't get it, David. Why? This is not an issue.
Eighth time.
We are not measuring the atmosphere. We are basically
the amount of cold
that you need a container in order to have gas pressure. A nature
or cold.
That is our argument.
Will only rise so high because of temperature. Just like clouds only go so high because of temperature. You understand that? There are no clouds flying above Mount Everest. There are no clouds flying over 25 miles up. Planes don't fly above 25 miles. All of this is being held down because of temperature. That's all we're saying.
Can I ask a
after
question?
that, I'll just say,
With my help.
just
Hang on, Dave.
just
Let me ask
something
you
to
a question.
consider anyway. Because I've been thinking about it myself, and these are my thoughts, not anybody else's but mine. And
Look,
I
I
appreciate it.
believe that it's really cold up there, but it doesn't take away any of our arguments.
Dave, let me ask you a
all.
question. Which transfers heat better? Which is more? Which would transfer heat better? A more dense object or a less dense object?
A more dense object.
Okay. Why? Why is that, Erwin? Why would a less dense or more dense or less dense object transfer heat better than a more dense object?
Didn't say
Explain
that.
that.
There's more molecules that basically require all to be moving.
I wasn't asking you, Abby.
Well, okay. Well, like for example, I've got an iron skillet, and I think Nathan has one too. If I set it slightly above my eye, it takes longer to heat up. But if I put it more flat down onto the surface, it'll heat up faster and transfers faster. So you would think that two dense objects in contact would transfer heat more efficiently and faster, right? But if the further you put the objects apart, the less transfer of energy or that heat to the other object. So that being said, the reason it could be cold up there is because there's less, the molecules are less and less, but that doesn't mean they're gone completely. But the heat transfer is less and less to other objects. So that's why it's colder. That's why it's warmer at the surface, because you've got a lot of things that are more dense. There's more water, there's more surface. So the heat at this level is more because there's more dense things causing that, so to speak.
Okay, I want to intervene for a moment. You're kind of right, but it also that the actual heat that comes into this realm is obviously brought with the light contact of the surface of the earth. That's where the heat is basically arising. And up there, it's very far away. So there's not much heat to come into place.
Save for the sun. You forgot about that one.
No, yeah, but the sun is just light. That's just light. It has to hit something physical in order to manifest the heat.
Gas molecules.
Exactly.
They're very transparent, so it's not going to rub off much on them.
Really? A full dose of cosmic radiation is not going to rub off on them. You might want to rethink that.
No, I'm talking about light. And if you shine light on water, it's going to heat up faster than if you shine light on gas.
Don't claim what the sky is. You're claiming what the sky is. You're telling us your beliefs now.
I like that. So I'm just going to point that out. You said cosmic radiation, and I was like, no, I'm talking about light.
I'm talking about light too. So.
Yeah, and what did he say? There was another point that he said that there are no clouds higher than Mount Everest. What's Mount Everest's height? Anyone?
I think it's 29,000 feet. Quantum.
So there's no clouds
32
above
something.
29,000. Like just one person answer. 29,000. Done.
29,000 feet. So there are no clouds higher than 29,000 feet, sir? You might want to rethink that one.
Ooh.
Like I said, I'm no meteorologist. However, I did sleep in a Holiday Inn Express last night. Thanks.
Old Roy Chubby Brown joke. I'm no gynecologist, but I'll have a bloody good look at it for you.
What the?
Also, I'd like to say something too. Just to go back, I've said this before. I was stationed in Maine for 2 years in the Air Force, and I've experienced 72 degrees or temperature inside a building, and stepped out into negative 30 degrees or 40 degrees outside. And ultimately, I didn't really necessarily notice a pressure change, but I did notice a temperature change. So I don't know if there is a relation, but it's kind of iffy at ground level.
Some great videos of people with heated garages in like really cold climates, maybe up in Canada and places, and they're all chuffed. You know, they've got their heated garage and they get in their car and it's all snugly warm, and they open the garage door back out, crack every window, instantly cracks.
But that's when the temperature changed, though, right?
Yeah.
Not a pressure change.
Those two things are always going to be intrinsically linked, right? That's the whole point of this conversation. You know, we're describing Boyle's law and energy transfer through an amount of particle, interaction. That's all we're describing. But there's still going to be an assertion that has to be made at one point for somebody that's not done something, which is going to be in relation to what the sky is. Well,
I don't know. I've never seen heat really break anything. I've seen heat melt things or burn them up.
Tell that to an ant under a
only
microscope.
Gas
Under
in
a
a
magnifying
container
glass.
being heated up that can break stuff.
Well, ultimately, too, like I was one of the examples I was going to bring up too. Like I've seen liquid oxygen. We used to deal with it in the Air Force because they had to use it for the aircraft, and it's that kind of a bluish color. It's kind of interesting if you've seen it in real life. I don't know if you've seen it, John. But the way they get liquid oxygen, they have to put it under. They start the process under pressure. Everything has to go under pressure, and I think there's a chemical process too to get it to go from a gas to a liquid. But ultimately, it's not the temperature they use; it's the pressure they use to get it to go from a liquid from a gas to a liquid.
Did he ever answer what heat or temperature is?
Not really, no.
And that's what you're trying to get him to answer, right?
A measure of warmth or coldness of an object or substance with reference to some standard value. Temperature of two
but
systems.
we're talking about perception, right? How you feel it, but temperature and heat are outside of perception. Also, you can measure it's outside of you, right? I can't even believe them.
The temperature of two systems is the same when the systems are in thermal equilibrium.
Yeah, that doesn't say anything about temperature, does it? Was there anything about kinetic energy of molecules?
Not in this
That's kind of where I was trying to go with it, but I don't think he was wanting to go there. That's what I was trying to go to.
And the three for heat transfer, there's 3 types of heat transfer. Does he even know those?
But I think the problem is that you're applying man-made logics and understanding and equations to nature, because we have high pressure at the bottom of the ocean, where the ocean is cold, and where we have systems. What you're talking about is what we create, but out here in nature, well, everything seems to be absorbed. The particles don't bounce off objects. They seem
What are you
to be
talking
absorbed
about? That's nonsense. That's nonsense.
That's
Not
what happens
everything's
here. If we
absorbed.
look at,
Have you ever heard of reflection?
that's why people tan. No, but that's what happens if you're in a colder climate. Then obviously it affects your skin, but you don't feel
is absorbed.
pressure of any kind.
Stop with your.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at, absorption. So this is how we know when things are hot. Like we know how we know when an object is hot.
Up.
Well, the atmosphere affects objects' temperature. It makes them hotter. You can tell when the ground is hot, or when a pole is cold, or something like this. There is no pressure being pushed to the ground by these particles. They absorb.
Everything is absorbed.
The same way that would go on.
Have you heard of reflection before? Have you heard of reflection before?
Yeah?
Let's say you're looking at a green plant. Let's say cabbage or spinach. Right? Is that green? Is the plant green?
Green.
Yes. Is that plant green?
Green.
Say yes.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You're only
Yes, of
seeing
course.
the
You
light
say,
that's
is that
reflected off
green
it.
plant?
The green light
You
reflects.
just said, is that green plant green?
Yeah, it reflects off it. That it's not absorbed. So your claim of everything is absorbed is not. It's preposterous.
What color is that plant then?
You get to see what isn't absorbed.
Correct.
I'm asking you, said it's not green. I'm asking you if it's not green, what is the color of it?
The green wavelength is what's reflected. In other words, not absorbed by the plant. Therefore, you see that reflected light off the plant.
I don't know what that means. I'm asking you. You're saying to me, I see a green plant. You're asking me what colour
I
is
never
that
get to
green
get
plant?
more than half a sentence out when I speak to Spurs. There's no point having a conversation with him. You might as well just have the conversation for yourself, Spurs. I was halfway through a sentence again. I don't know why I bother. I just get frustrated.
I was just bringing it up because he said everything's absorbed. We would get no reflection if that were the case. So that claim is.
Well, this is a different. Yeah, but John, this is a different property now. We're talking about light, not the atmosphere. What the atmosphere does and what light does. Again, what we're dealing with is nature, what it does, and obviously it's by design, and what man can do and calculate. And you're trying to compare what we do in the science lab to nature. This is where the problem has always been, hasn't it? Right? So you're saying that particles go up and up and up, and I'm not even saying that. I'm not saying with David that there's space or anything like that. But what we're saying is we don't know what's up there. But what we do know is that the particles that we can register, water particles in terms of, they go up, they freeze, they fall back down. The only pressure that is measured or measured with pressure sensor is water. Any other sensor would malfunction, doesn't work because of the temperature. The temperature.
Define temperature and freezing. What's going on? Define temperature and freezing.
Let me have a go. Let me have a go. Let me just have one more go with Spurs. Okay, Spurs. So let's say you get a really, really sensitive scale. Yeah. And you turn it upside down and you put it underneath a kettle that's boiling. Yeah. And the gas comes out and it hits the scale. And the scale registers that something's hit it, i.e. the particle of water vapour, gas, hits the scale. You follow me so far, Spurs?
I'm listening. I'm waiting for you to finish.
I'm just saying, do you follow me so far? I just need you to say yes, I follow, or no, I don't follow. I've taken a very, very, very sensitive... Fine. So you appreciate that...
goes up, hits the scale.
Yeah. So the force of that gas hitting that scale is something that you can quantify. And you can call the amount that it's pressed on the scale pressure.
It has momentum.
Oh, somebody interrupted me at the punchline. Let me try that again without an interruption from some asshole like who's interrupting me now. So, Spurs, you've got it hitting a scale and registering a number. Doesn't matter what we call it. It's just a number on a scale. And it's the amount of force that gas exerted on the scale. How much it pressed the scale, Spurs. Do you understand that that is, in essence, gas pressure?
Have you finished?
It had a
I'm
question
going to
mark.
respond directly to what you're saying. But like I said, I don't want to interrupt what you're saying.
Well, that's the question. Do you understand?
Absolutely. I hear what you're saying. I don't agree, but I understand what you're saying, yes.
So, therefore, Spurs, the amount of force that a gas exerts on, in this case, the scale, but you could quantify that in terms of anything that it presses on as pressure. So we definitely have gas pressure, Spurs.
Okay. Water leaving from the kettle, as you described, in this gassy form, the particles are so small it seems to you like a gas. But what we're looking at is water particles, really, really tiny particles of water pressing on that scale. Just like if you had condensation on the window. Let's say the condensation hit the window and the window had
water
a
droplets no longer normally
pressure.
behaving like water. Is that it?
Not
Excuse me, why are you interrupting me? I didn't get a chance to finish.
Yeah, because you changed the parameters. Yeah, because you changed it. No, Spurs, we're talking about gas. And you've said, right, let's condense that gas back down to water immediately then, for my example. No, we're talking about gas. The steam, the water vapour. The thing that you deny and say there's only temperature. So we're describing gas pressure in really dumbed down terms so that you can see that it's a real thing. How much that gas presses on the wall is quantified as gas pressure. That's what it is.
Again, you described a scale. To me, a pressure sensor is a pressure sensor. Now, if that kettle was to boil next to a window, which was a pressure sensor, all the window would read is the pressure of the water that is built up on that pressure sensor.
I'm
The
sorry to
air-
interrupt.
the
You're
air-
doing the same thing again.
Any air,
For
any
schema,
air
is the
that
entire
escapes from
atmosphere,
that
all the
kettle-
pressure, all
I
the
can't
wind,
even
is
get a
that
sense
all
of that. There's no
water?
point me even
Because you've done it
speaking.
again,
Look,
Spurs.
if
The
you
reason
guys
you're
would have
getting
a-
interrupted, Spurs.
I
The
can't
reason you're
even
getting
get through,
interrupted,
5
Spurs.
seconds of a sentence.
Spurs. I'm answering you. The reason you got interrupted was because after I tediously explained how you'd equivocated, you did it immediately again.
Yeah, it's a false equivalence.
You're doing
False
the same
equivalence,
thing.
my bad.
You're doing the same thing. You're saying water. This water hitting the scale is now a gas. Well, no, it's not. The scale is registering the water, the weight of the water on the
Only if it
scale.
has
That's
momentum.
its
Just
air with
really
the air
unusually
that feeds the scale
floating small
into
water
the
droplets
atmosphere.
that
And
don't
even if it
behave
did
like
press on
water
the
anymore,
scale,
but they're
it
still
would
water
absorb
droplets.
into the scale in terms of temperature. The scale would get warmer or colder depending on the heat of what the gas. No, it
What
wouldn't
in
be
the
pressure.
world?
It
Okay.
would just absorb into the scale. The only thing that would be left on the scale is the
Absorb
water.
into the scale. The scale's job is to register pressure. How much something presses on it. Not temperature. That's why I used a scale.
So it's the water, not gas.
No,
But
gas.
Gas. How are you making the gas sit on the scale?
I'm heating up the water.
Momentum of the
I'm
gas.
heating up the
scale, 'cause
water so that the
vapor has no
bonds,
weight.
so that it's no longer bonded together as a liquid. And when it becomes separate, i.e. everything moving in random directions, that's when it's a gas. And that gas that I've described, having boiled the kettle, travels up, hits the scale, and registers a number on that scale. And that is, in essence, the pressing of the gas, aka gas pressure.
So you wouldn't need to do that then, would you? You would need to put it above the scale. You could put the scale across the room, have the kettle boil, calibrate the scale, and let all of that gas in the room disperse, and then just wait for all that gas to fall down onto the scale and take your measurement. Why doesn't that happen? Because there's nothing to press on. You have to have an actual force, like the kettle in the first place, or you blowing on the scale in order for there to be a force, in order for there to be a pressure. But there was nobody blowing this gas into this atmosphere, is there?
Blowing. What's blowing? Sorry, what is blowing exactly? What's the...
What is it? Well, nothing is blowing, is it? That's the point.
The gas is not
blowing.
Wow.
In the atmosphere, all we have is the wind. If there's no wind, the atmosphere is still. It's calm. It's a nice cool
what
day.
is wind?
You don't feel anything.
No, let's stick with blowing.
Hold on, I got something in mind. Help.
Let's stick with blowing. Let's stick with blowing. What's blowing? What's blowing? How do you facilitate the function of blowing on something? What's actually happening in that process?
No, you tell me that.
Can I take that for a second? First, he's talking about water vapor leaving the pot and then hitting the scale. The only way that the scale will register anything is if the water vapor is moving and has momentum. Then it will momentarily push on the scale. Otherwise, it's not changing the pressure around the scale. That's all.
We're talking about the atmosphere. People seem to say, well, flat Earth seems to
I've got to concede, right? Hold on, I'll just concede for Zanuck. You're right. My crappy example was dumbed down to the point of it being slightly incorrect, Zanuck. And yes, I applaud you. You're right, but it's just a way of dumbing down the example to explain how gas pressure is pressure. I can't make it any more dumbed down without it being wrong.
It doesn't need dumbing down because water pressure is water pressure. That's clearly understood. Under the ocean, there is a pressure. Outside of the water, there's zero pressure, but only temperature. Now, if you're saying there's a pressure, like something pushing, that means you're saying to me there's gravity. Now we know gravity is nonsense. Now, where is this push pull?
Where is
What
this
is this force?
This directiveness in science or in information coming from, I just don't get it, Spurskimo.
Poisoned.
No, you don't get it.
Poisoned by glowheads.
It's a brand new thought, Arwin. I understand you don't get it, but right now we've been taught there is a pressure. It doesn't mean that there's space. It doesn't mean there's a container. It just means we don't understand how this mechanism, how nature actually works. In a container, yeah, we can manipulate things. We can, test the heat, the temperature, the pressure. But out here, what can we do?
At all.
We don't feel.
That's not.
We can't do anything. We can't feel any pressure. All of our instruments will freeze up at high altitudes. Down here, they expand. They either get too. If we go down into the ground, they either get too hot. They don't work anymore. If you try to drill into the ground, it's too hot. You can't work down there. If you go too high, they freeze up. You can't work. So everything here that tells you there is a pressure, well, it has to be recalibrated. Well, how are we getting a constant here?
Spurskimo, I think that you are experiencing a pressure of a certain nature that is causing you to dwell in these.
Owen, all it requires is a demonstration.
Can I say something? Chemo, can I say something? We know that clouds have weight, okay? Because when it rains, rain comes down, and we can weigh that rain. So we know that there's weight in the atmosphere. We know that the thing.
David, the only weight in the atmosphere is the water. That's it. When the water,
I got proof of pressure.
You still have atmospheric pressure. I understand that, and that's what Nathan argues: is that how can you have pressure without a container? The container is the cold. Okay, that's what
the container is cold.
Yeah, more or less.
Wait a second. That's ridiculous. But Paul had something to say. Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, I'm just saying I've got proof right here. I don't know if you can see my screen. Do you guys know what a collapsed lung is? Do you know what it is?
Yes.
Anybody?
I know what a collapsed lung is.
Okay, tell me what a collapsed lung is. My phone's ringing, but I'll get it in a minute.
It
Go
is
ahead. What
a
is a
lung.
collapsed lung?
It is a lung that has in fact collapsed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It is collapsed because there's a little bit of pressure that's got in between the lining of the lung and the rib cage. So the pressure from outside actually pushes in and causes the lung to collapse. So, and that could be a natural phenomenon because I could just trip and fall and puncture my lung with my rib cage. Not even something that's man-made. Well, I guess you could say I still caused it in that one sense of the word. But a tree could fall and break and stab me in the rib and cause a collapsed lung. So right there is my proof.
I think you'll find it's clouds that do that.
Wait, what was that proof of?
The gas pressure, that we live in gas pressure. What causes the lung to collapse? A pressure change.
Yep.
There's no temperature change involved. It's all pressure. There's no temperature involved in
in
that.
all directions, by the way. Gas pressure works on all directions.
Sorry,
Zanik.
Sorry, somebody was rumpusing Zanik. Can't bloody hear him. Can you say that again, Zanik?
Somebody fell off a ladder.
Force has a magnitude and a direction. That's what weight is, basically. Air pressure is acting in all directions. It's scalar.
Zanik, what's the cause of your gas pressure?
The force due to gravity has to be the cause of that.
Right. So when flat earthers argue for gas pressure, they're arguing for gravity. They understand. But for ball earthers, if there's no gravity, there's no gas pressure.
What?
But for flat earthers, we have to contrive and make up some kind of container that we've never seen, we've never observed. But we have the explanation of a container. What kind of container? A container
I want
of
to talk to
the floor
Zanik.
being
I can't believe I'm
water
saying
mud.
this. Right, I'd much rather have this conversation with Zanik. He's the only one who sounds sane at the moment, unbelievably. So, yeah, exactly, Zanik. So when you've got gas, it's just expanding in all directions. Unlike when you've got a solid or a liquid.
Correct.
Right. So just out of interest, your gas that you're breathing right now, Zanik, at the top of your belief of the sky, what's it pressing on it there?
Well, there's either a force or a container. Both can actually create the same effect.
Both presuppose.
Yeah, citation, please.
This is why I won't get involved in this religious idea until it can be demonstrated. Common sense, like David is saying, tells you go higher, it gets colder.
If I accelerate a car and all the air in the car is pressed to the back of the vehicle, it's got gas pressure, and the front of the car will have less pressure than the rear of the car.
That's not the answer to the question. You made a claim.
Said that unless acted on a force, you said gas would need to either press on the walls of a container unless there's a force acting on it. Do you want to cite that, please?
That's just basic gas. That's just basic physics.
Oh, that's common sense.
Again, it's the same as what you're saying.
Spurs.
This is
sorry, Spurs.
We can
could you, if it's basic physics, it should be really, really easy to get a citation.
What citation are you looking for me to find for you?
You specifically said your positive claim is that gas will expand in all directions unless acted on by a force. Now I'm asking you to cite that beyond your claim of it being understood physics.
Yeah, a force or a container.
That's what you need.
That's what he said.
Yeah, so just a quick citation. It should be dead easy. Apparently, according to you, this is known. So quick Google search. Should have the.
We measure this all over the place, right?
Yeah. Sorry, Zanik. I just say it a third time. If it's accepted physics, we don't need the claim making 6 more times. It should be dead easy to just Google search it and give us a citation. Don't need it repeating again.
All right.
Thanks.
I didn't mean to drop you in it, Zanik. I was just saying your cause is gravity. That was all.
Yeah, thanks. I thought we would get some clarification of his scale analogy or example. And by the way,
Zanik doesn't even believe gravity is a force. He believes it creates a force.
Yeah, we're not talking about gravity. We're talking about gas, which, according to Zanik, expands in all directions unless it's acted upon by a force. So, I want to see that cited, please.
And then we want a demonstration of that citation.
Yes, we will come to that next.
I've
forgotten.
yeah, exactly. Okay, good.
You understand gas law. You seem to understand entropy.
That's lovely. Yes, we don't need a list of things we seem to understand. What we need, fourth time. Something that is claimed to be accepted physics by you. Unless acted upon by a force, gas will expand in all directions. Please cite that. Go.
Okay.
Yes, I'm in live stream, so go ahead and put it in live stream.
Yep.
Never gets old, guys. How many people have come to the debates and done this? How
Gas
many?
expands all directions until it hits a temperature until it reaches its freezing temperature.
What?
I'm not even going to ask for a citation. Well, no, why not?
You're
why
another
Go
one
ahead.
that needs a citation.
Yeah, exactly, Chocolate. Go ahead, David, if you want to get a citation for that.
Have a freezing point. You understand that, right?
No, just like Zanik, David. Do you want to just toddle off and get a citation for that?
And you haven't defined what temperature is yet either, by the way. Or heat, or cold, or all that.
Didn't we go through it? We talked about the kinetic energy of... Didn't we go through this?
Yeah, we already sort of gave it to him, Paul.
Okay.
He wasn't listening.
I want him to define it, though, and make sure he understands it, though. That's the only reason. Just make sure he understands.
Oh, I'm not suggesting for a second that he listened.
I'm sorry, I got off. I had to get off and take a call real quick, so I'm back now, though.
Had the paintless dent guy
Well,
out
it's not temperature.
while the show started, John.
As you go up.
Oh, was that a citation? Sorry, my
No.
bad. I was just applying filler. Go ahead, Zanik.
Okay. Oh, by the way, I found your you had a video for your Coriolis too. I'll post that after that.
All right, we can't wait for that. Of course, the argument isn't the Coriolis effect, but we'll go ahead and take
I
your
know.
hot tubs on torpedoes.
I got that one for you. Hold on. I like
Hold
the way
on.
you
Hold on.
laughed and made fun of it when it's actually something really easy to see.
Are we going to a different citation? Should we put this one on the back burner? Should we bench this for now, Zanik?
Well, let me just get this one for you.
Yeah, stay on topic. What were you talking about, Nathan? You were saying something before?
Well, no, I was going to apply filler while he was off getting his citation for applied forces to gas pressures.
Go ahead.
I'll give you guys
Go ahead.
something
He's
to
clicking
walk
in the
on.
background. I
Fair
think
enough.
he's.
Pop yourself on
Sorry,
mute if
sorry,
you don't
I'll-
mind, Sonic. Just while you Google searching. We know you're good for it.
Go ahead.
I was just saying the paintless dent guy came. It, like beginning of the show started, and immediately my doorbell goes and phone rings, and the guy's downstairs to do the PDR paintless dent removal with the little dabbers.
Oh, they're downstairs now.
Well, he's had a look at it and just given me a quote. 60 quid to get 3 little dents out.
Oh, okay. Now, how much is that in dollars?
$80, $85, something like that.
3 dents.
Yeah. 2 panels.
That's not all that bad.
Yeah, he's good. I swiped him. You know, when you come across like somebody providing a service to somebody else and you shouldn't really be asking them for their service, but I did. So he was at a garage once when I was having some paintwork done, and I just saw him doing what he did. I just went up to him. I was like, "All right, what's your number?" And made it seem like I was in the trade, you know. So I got his number, and he came out and he did my car when I was a rep. Because basically it was really difficult to get like dings and stuff out of a company car unless you were prepared to literally pay for it yourself. It would just go down and wear and tear on the lease. In other words, it was acceptable to have dings. Well, it wasn't acceptable for me. I didn't want dings in the car, right? So I wanted to get them done as cheaply as possible. So I found this guy floating around a dealer forecourt somewhere, got his number, and every time I phone him, and I do mean every time, he says, "How'd you get my number?" How have you got this number? I'm like, "Oh, you did a car for me back in the day, you know, I had these company cars." "Oh yeah, I remember you." And then he comes out and does it for the dealer rate. But I got a retail quote, and he was like 90 quid a panel, you know, upwards. So he's like, "Oh well, if there's lots of dents in the panel, obviously it could be more." Bloody hell, I thought like £180, maybe $230 for the same job. Outrageous. Anyway, I'm very pleased. It's a cheap car. I don't want to spend loads on it.
Is he done?
I don't know. How you getting on, Zanik?
No, I'm talking about the guy.
Oh, he just came to do a quote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll do it.
That's not a bad price.
Very good, very good. I'm chuffed. Ordered my new tyres. It's all very boring car stuff at the moment. Yeah, new tyres. It's on cheap, nasty Chinese tyres at the moment. They're okay. They've got enough tread, but I don't know. I'm fussy about these things.
All right, are you done droning?
I'm filling time here. I'm just killing time.
Droning and muttering. Are you
not even on topic.
So after all this is done, are you gonna like post a picture? We're gonna have like a picture.
Yeah.
Of this.
Yeah. After it's been painted, so I spent about a week solid scrubbing the carpet, and I scrubbed one stain so much I went through the carpet. So I'm like, now I'm gonna have to get mats because it looks awful.
What was on a carpet? Did somebody stamp out a globetard there? You couldn't get the stain out?
Something like that. Just an oil stain right in the middle of a cream carpet. It looked terrible. The whole thing did. It was just a complete shed. It looks really nice now, actually. I'm looking forward to it. It's getting painted tomorrow. Dents will get taken out in the next 2 or 3 days. I've bought all of the mechanical parts. I've bought the clutch, the brakes, front and back, the spark plugs, the oil, the filters, the whole shebango. And that'll go into the garage on Tuesday.
Great. Now, same color?
Color what?
The same color? Your car's going to get painted? It's going to be the same color?
I'm only doing the bumpers. It's just the front and back bumper are falling to pieces.
Oh, okay.
Everything else is really, really straight, apart from these tiny little dents, which you can't even take pictures of. The first guy I sent him to, he's like, "I can't see in the pictures." I was like, "Yeah, no, I can't really, I can't see him either."
Yeah, that color you can't see. It's like mine, that gun barrel gray.
Yeah.
Gun spray. You can't. It's like a shapeshifter, man. I'll think I see a scratch. I think I'll see a scratch, and then I go back, and it wasn't a scratch. So they're really hard to find imperfections in the paint. Which can be a good and bad thing.
It's great. That's presumably why they paint vans in that colour, because it's, you know, I hardly noticed that there was even dirt on it, and then I went up and run my finger on it, like, oh, wow, it's filthy. You just don't notice. Whereas a black car, all of my Repmobiles were black, and you could cough after you'd cleaned it, and it would be filthy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You can see all the imperfections in the paint. Yep.
But they
And
look the
dirt,
best.
obviously.
I mean,
Yeah,
they were.
don't remind me.
You got a black car.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they look the best when they're all polished up for those 3 minutes that it's clean.
Yeah, that's right.
3, maybe 2. Maybe 2.
Yep. And you
Hey,
know
that's like
the birds are going to come around it when you get done.
Hey, they can ask that question. Why does a white car not get as hot as a black car does?
Oh, there you go. Look at trying to keep it on topic. Go on, Paul.
No, I'm just throwing the question out there. Why does a black car heat up more than a white car does?
Because it's absorbing more of the wavelength, so less of it. To be black, essentially, black would be the absence of light. Well, if you've got a car that's reflecting black, that's kind of a contradiction in terms. So it's got to try and absorb as much of the wavelengths as possible, and therefore absorption is absorption, right? So it's going to heat up. Whereas if you've got a silver or a white car, a highly reflective surface, it's bouncing most of the light waves off, which is why it produces that colour in the first instance. Therefore, not absorbing the light, and therefore not getting hot.
Yeah, when I was in the Air Force, I was stationed in Nellis, and obviously in the summertime, I was there I wasn't there for 3 years, but I was there for mostly through the summer, and we had to wear gloves if you were working out on the flight line, because if you left your tools laying out in the sun, you could actually pick up your tool and get a first degree burn, just from picking up a tool that's been sitting out in the sun.
Okay,
So,
Zanuck, I'm sorry. Hey, Paul, Zanuck
Yes.
posted the citation. I'm quite familiar with this chemistry Libre text, so do you want me to share this, Nathan?
Yes, please, if you can.
Yeah, so the audience can see what he cited. Or
know
just
any-
the reference. Is there a citation in here, Zanuck?
Yeah, if you go mid, it talks about the gravity as an integral element of the reason there's pressure.
Okay, do you have a citation? Because the only thing I see right here is the pressure of a gas is a force that the gas exerts on the walls of its container. So thank you very much.
No, there's
a,
also below that.
Go ahead. Oh my
Talks
God.
about the barometer. Talks about the formula for the pressure in the atmosphere in the air.
Okay, let me make it bigger. I don't know if your audience can see it, Nathan. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Would that be better?
Objects based on its gravitational field. Additionally, the pressure is the force of the unit being measured. Total force, area being measured.
You're mumbling a little bit.
Would you
Zanuck.
stop muttering and mumbling and show
I'm trying
me?
to find one a little more concise. Hold on, I'll find another one. That's not as concise as I'd like it to be.
We've got it up. We just need to know which line.
Give me another minute. I got this.
No worries.
This is too general. It's more physics 101 or chemistry 101.
Oh,
Nathan,
we
you
have
got
Boyle's
to
Law in
these
here.
guys.
Thanks for
Anytime
that. And hold on a second. We have Boyle's Law in 1662. Robert Boyle, or was that Robert Dave? Boyle's
You
Law,
got
1662.
to remember that these globers, anytime you start discussing this, say all these gases are held to the Earth by gravity. That's where me and Kimo have beat them at this argument because of the temperature. So it's not that we're going against you. We're just trying to figure out the real reason of why these things happen, and that's where we've come to these conclusions.
Okay.
Why do you think
Okay.
why do you think
This-
it's temperature?
Hold on a
I
second.
already
Hold
talked
on a
to Timo
second.
about that.
Dave's Law.
Just one at a time.
Hold on a second.
I already
Dave's Law. Boyle's Law in 1662. Dave, were you alive in 1662? Made the
No, my
first systematic
great
study.
grandfather. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Boyle made the first systematic study of the relationship between volume. Like I said, it's a volume pressure law. Right?
All right.
Okay, let's go down here to kinetic molecular theory explanation. Uh-oh, this is going to be bad for you guys. The observations about pressure may be explained using the following ideas. The rapid motion and collision of molecules with the walls of the container causes pressure. Thank you very much.
Well, why
Have a
don't
nice
you
day.
talk
I'll
about
be here all week.
gases? It's just like your tire pressure thing. If you take a tire filled with air and you put it in a freezer, that tire will get smaller because the air molecules in there condense, and that's the whole point. These gases go up.
No, the air molecule doesn't get dense, and the tire is not going to get noticeably smaller. The pressure will go
I don't
down.
want this cross argument. I'm really sorry to do this to you, Zanik and David.
Hold on. If the pressure
David
goes,
and
pressure goes
Zanik,
down,
we've got a citation on screen, or we
temperature
hope to have.
will go down. The volume will stay the same.
Zanik,
Does that make sense?
focus now. Focus. Don't worry about Dave.
Where in
Focus
this
now.
reference is your citation, please, Zanik?
Okay, I got the other citation on there. Basically, the Earth's atmosphere exerts a pressure as than any other gas. Right there. Although we do not normally notice atmospheric pressure, we are sensitive to pressure changes.
Okay,
And it goes
are
on
you
to
using
examples
the
of that.
Chem Libre text?
What's that?
Are you using this? I'm sorry, you probably don't see this. I have your citation up on screen.
The chemistry site is not detailed and concise enough. Let me use the one I just posted.
You're on another. I'm sorry. That would have been helpful to tell me that. 1 second. Let me get out of this. So, you have another citation?
Yeah, there's
okay,
the,
this one.
There's the Lumen Learning, chemistry majors. Valerie Mott, gas pressure article.
Okay, gas
Starts off
pressure.
with-
Okay,
that up?
where do you want me to go? 1 second. This
First
is kind
paragraph,
of
gas pressure.
big.
The
Do you have a
Earth's atmosphere
keyword
exerts
that I could go to? Would you be okay? Just take your time. Take a breath. Is there a keyword that I can type in here and we could go to your citation?
Atmosphere.
Just atmosphere, right? There's probably 30 atmospheres.
Well,
Just
the first
just
one.
atmosphere, right?
It's the very
So
first
we got 26. We're narrowing it down.
I copied, cut and paste the actual paragraph and put it on the chat.
Oh, perfect.
All right.
Thank you, Zanik.
Yeah, that helps. You will do it or you did it?
I already did. I did it before I even posted the link to the article.
You did? I don't see it. Post it again, please.
Someone give me a 856. I'll do it again now. Okay.
856. Oh, I think I got it. Let me pull that. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll just highlight and then I'll read it for you. Is that okay?
Sure.
The Earth's atmosphere exerts a pressure, as does any other gas. Although we do not normally notice atmospheric pressure, we are sensitive to pressure changes. For example, when your ears pop during takeoff and landing while flying, or when you dive underwater. Gas pressure is caused by the force exerted by gas molecules colliding with surfaces of objects. That container. Although the force of each collision is very small, any surface of appreciable area experiences a large number of collisions in a short time, which can result in high pressure. In fact, normal air pressure is strong enough to crush a metal container when not balanced by equal pressure from inside the container. That's your citation.
What the hell? What the hell? This is supposed to be a citation that demonstrates that there's your claim. The reason
about atmospheric pressure is caused by the weight of the column of air molecules in the atmosphere above an object.
Your assertion was that gas expands in all directions unless acted on by a force.
And the force is a weight. Weight is force, right?
Sorry,
it
doesn't. This doesn't back that. In fact, all this does is verify the blatantly bloody obvious that you need a bloody container to press upon, like the other reference you gave.
No.
So what we're looking for is just calm down, take a breath. What we're looking for is something that affirms your claim that unless acted on by a force, gas will expand in all directions. Now, you said this was standard physics that we all know, and so far, not so good. You haven't cited anything to back that baseless assertion. It seems like you just made it up, Zanik.
Atmospheric pressure is caused by the weight of the column of the air molecules in the atmosphere.
That's not what this says. That's wrong, and it's not what it says, and it's not regarding your claim.
Oh, wait, no, you call me wrong. Wait, if you're going to call me wrong, you better make a citation of where I'm wrong.
It doesn't say that. It does not say that. That's why we asked you for a citation. He's just read it.
900. Look at on the chat.
So we've got a new citation. So that one didn't back your claim.
Citation, same article, just a paragraph farther. You got to read a little farther on that page. If you just take what I
Sorry,
posted,
John. Apparently, third time's a charm.
Time.
Third time's a charm. Where's this new citation?
We have the citation. Can you post the citation again, please?
9:00:00. Do it again if you like.
9 o'clock.
It's his time. Just ignore his time.
My time. There it is. Post it
I'm
again.
going to have to go back. Why don't you just post it again so I don't have to scroll back here for eons?
I did.
Okay, he's done it again, he says.
Okay.
Here we go.
And this is from the same document, correct?
Correct.
This is from the gas pressure from Lumen, correct?
Right. Chemistry for majors. Yes.
All right, we'll trust you on this one. And I'll go ahead and read it. Atmospheric pressure is caused by the weight of a column of air molecules in the atmosphere above an object, bullshit, such as the tanker car. At sea level, this pressure is roughly the same as that exerted by a full-grown African elephant standing on a doormat, or a typical bowling ball resting on your thumbnail. These may seem like huge amounts, and they are, but life on Earth has evolved bullshit under such atmospheric pressure. If you actually perch a bowling ball on your thumbnail, the pressure experience is twice the usual pressure, and the sensation is unpleasant.
That doesn't describe a force having to act on a gas to stop it expanding in all directions either.
It started with that, exactly that, actually. Atmospheric pressure is caused by the weight of the column of the air molecules in the atmosphere above an object.
That doesn't say what you claimed.
I don't know why we're belaboring this point.
Hold on a second. I have a citation. There is no call. Hold on a second, Zanuck. Take it easy. Take a Zanuck. Now, what is typical gas behavior?
That if you reduce the temperature,
no,
the pressure will go down.
No, how do gases, what is their behavior? How do they respond?
They freely move in all directions.
They freely move they
move. They oscillate. They move.
Okay, so how can you have a column?
Yes.
How can you have a column? Yes.
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 You're taking a slice of it's not a physical column. It's just if you everything above you with your area straight up into the atmosphere is a column. It's not like it has borders or a container or anything.
But gases move freely and randomly at high speeds. Then this says a column of air. That's contradictory.
It'd be the average volume, which is a volume of air, which is an average for that of density or molecules of air above you in that area.
That's not what it says though.
That's a column.
Read out definition. Column, an upright pillar, typically cylindrical, supporting an arch. Wow, that's not really standing alone as a monument. A vertical, roughly cylindrical thing, an upright shaft for controlling a machine or vehicle, a vertical division of a page or text. Well, yeah. I mean, the atmosphere doesn't fit any of those definitions.
We're taking a slice of a volume of the atmosphere above you.
Can you have volume without a container?
Of course.
Really?
Show us.
Okay, let's see.
Square meter of air in front of you.
The square, we don't measure volume in squares. We measure volume in cubic meters.
Sorry, cubic meter. The cubic meter in front of you.
Okay, let's see if we can let's get a definition of volume. Wait one.
Why are we going to the semantics of
semantics? It's not semantics. Semantics are words and their meanings. That's what semantics means. So we're talking about words and their meanings. Yeah, we're getting semantical. We're going to define what these words mean. That's right.
Okay.
If I look at around, if I reach my arms out, how much air is around
the definition of volume? Take it easy. Zanuck, take a breath. Take a breath. It's okay. It'll be okay. Okay, from Wiki, The spinning Baltard's alma mater. Sorry, I had to get that in. Volume is the quantity of a three-dimensional space enclosed by a closed surface. That's redundant. For example, the space that a substance, solid, liquid, gas, or plasma, or shape occupies or contains. Volume is often quantified numerically using the SI-derived unit, the cubic meter. The volume of a container is generally understood to be the capacity of the container, i.e. the amount of fluid, gas, or liquid that the container could hold, rather than the amount of space the container itself displaces. See the problem?
If I run my car's engine for a minute, is there a volume of air that has escaped or has been pushed out of the engine?
Do you understand the definition I just wrote that had container in it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times in 2 sentences.
Oh boy. That's one definition. Is there not a volume of air or gas that escapes?
That's
when
just
I open
semantics. You're just being semantical now. No worries. If that's just one definition, semantics rule. Get another one.
Well, it seems like semantics to me.
Volume,
Maybe
please.
it doesn't.
Let's see your definition of volume.
But this is wiki.
That's all right. Whatever he likes. Oh, he said that's semantics. Well, yeah. So, what you got to overcome that, Zanik? Got a better definition? Volume. Let's have a look.
Yeah. Okay.
This is fun.
Oh boy.
You're not interested in my tyres then?
Say again?
You think it's boring? Tyres? I mean, come on, it doesn't get much more exciting than tyres.
What the hell are you talking about?
When I got to telling you about buying new tyres, you were like, "Oh God, you're droning on." When I was filling the dead air last time.
Oh no! I meant collectively, droning and muttering. I don't have a problem with tires, man.
Yeah.
So I guess we're off this reference right here. I can take this off. So Zanik is going to give us another definition, a semantical definition of volume.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
This is so exciting.
We've got container deniers.
Yep.
Oh, and I also like to ask Zanik about the so-called force of gravity and how it what's the mechanism to put energy in that. I'd like to know that as well.
What do you mean put energy in that?
Doesn't a force require energy?
Energy requires a force.
Citation, please.
Force doesn't necessarily require energy.
Citation, please.
Gas pressure. By science.
Yeah,
Gas.
we will come back to you, Paul. He's heard you, so he's prepared.
Oh boy.
Come on, Zanik.
Well,
Thought this was basic.
When they talk about volume, there's always going to be containers.
Yes, there are.
Hold on. Let's just hear that again.
When you most of these citations, most of these articles are all because when you're talking about a volume, it's actually an area, a container that whether it be hypothetical or physical.
Isn't that funny?
Isn't that interesting?
Well, there'd be no real reason to talk about it without a container, but okay.
Well, you did.
Wow,
you did.
Well, the citation I gave you talked about it. That's not good enough for you.
What?
The column of air above you.
No, it didn't.
So that you can't.
Your citation.
Scientifically illiterate and incorrect.
Oh, is it time for ad homs? Oh, bless.
No, I'm saying that you guys think that the column of error is not.
Wait. You provided a citation that backs up our point, but that's not good enough for us. What is it going to back up your point?
So, yeah, the point is that gas pressure is the force exerted on the walls of the container. You decided to make up some nonsense about that only being the case if there's not some force acting on it. Just bullshit.
Well,
You made it up.
examples are so they
just
can
made it
look
up.
at them. They have to be more concise. They talk about containers.
You
But
just
as
made it
I
up.
showed you, and you asked for, that the force due to gravity on the atmosphere causes the pressure. But that's not good enough.
Uh-oh, he invoked gravity.
But we weren't talking about gravity,
On that
Zanik.
article, on the citation.
We didn't mention that. Your citation was specifically about gas expanding in all directions unless acted on by a force. We asked you to cite that. We're not going to ask you to apply your fundamentalist religious belief of gravity to it. We're just talking about gas and it's expanding in all directions. The reason we've asked you this is because my original gambit, my opener with you, was to ask you, given that gas expands in all directions, what is it pressing upon at the top of your fundamentalist belief in a sky vacuum? So can you answer that? What's the gas pressing on at the top, given that you haven't backed that unless acted on a force, it's going to somehow stop expanding in all directions? We've cut that shit off the knees. So I'd like to know the answer to the original question, because that's all I've been waiting for. I've kept this show going a very long time just to get an answer to my original question with you.
It's pressing on the ground, and it's moving about the surface of the Earth up to a altitude, and as the altitude goes up, the pressure goes down.
Yeah, pressure, meaning the amount it presses on something. Yes, not the ground. Not the ground. Yes. Listen, I asked it earlier. Clearly, this whole charade was just so that we could obfuscate this question because you've already misrepresented it. So I'll ask it again.
I don't believe so, but go ahead.
The top, given that you describe gases expanding in all directions, and you haven't backed this assertion that that would stop occurring if a force was in play, we cut that shit off at the knees because you failed to back it in any way, shape or form. Now, given that gas is expanding in all directions, Alec, don't talk over me so that you can misrepresent it and claim you didn't hear me. Listen, I asked it once and twice and now thrice. What is it pressing upon at the top?
It's not pressing anything at the top.
Well, then it would disperse into the vacuum. It would just keep expanding in all directions, Zanik. That debunks the notion of space. This is the conclusion. If you say it's not got anything to press upon, Earth being an open system in your fundamentalist sphere religion, then it would disperse into your fundamentalist religious belief in a sky vacuum known as outer space. The gas would just expand in all directions as you detailed, Zanik, because it's got nothing to press upon. It would just expand and expand and expand into the space until there was no gas left. So this debunks the notion of a sky vacuum known as outer space, because the gas would fill that space, because of your eloquent description and accurate description of gas expanding in all directions. This bullshit idea that you made up that a force can act upon it, stopping that from occurring, is nonsense. As I say, we cut that off at the knees. So your idea of space, Zanik, is bunk, based on the fact that gas would expand in all directions, and your fundamentalist assertion of a sky vacuum known as outer space would mean that the gas would fill that space.
Okay. So is there a container above us holding the gas pressure in our atmosphere?
I've got no idea what the sky is, but I do know what it isn't. It's definitely not your fundamentalist religious assertion of outer space, a vacuum, because the gas would fill that space, as I just explained. That's why I contextualise my question around your religious belief about what the sky is. I make it very plain every time this comes up that I don't know what the sky is. Like this dude on screen, I just look at it and go, wow, that's cool. I know what clouds are, but I don't know anything beyond that, because I've not been there and I've not tested it, and all I've got to go on is what people tell me. And a lot of what they tell me, most of the people who are... Most of the people around tell me that the sky's a vacuum. Or obfuscate that point. So most people would say that it's a vacuum and do make positive assertions about what the sky is. I don't make any positive assertions. I make it clear. I don't know.
We measure
You
it.
think
How
it's
can
a
you- how can
vacuum.
you deny the measurements? We measure it.
Who
Small
measures it?
change in pressure as you go up in altitude. Very, very small as you go up.
Well, where'd you get the gas pressure to begin with? 1 second. 1 second. Well, do you understand? This is our claim. How do you have gas pressure without a container? That's X, which you are now rebutting. It's not a rebuttal, it's a red herring fallacy. You're saying the change in pressure, delta X. What comes first? Which comes first, X or delta X?
Meaning which comes first, gas pressure or a gas pressure gradient? Well, the first one is gas pressure.
It's not chicken or egg. It's not. It doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
chicken, not chicken or egg. Necessary antecedent.
We have a gas pressure gradient as you go up. We all agree to that.
That's not our question. We all agree with that. How do you have gas pressure without a container? Then we can
So
get
now
the
you're
gas
asking
pressure
why.
gradient.
So we understand we do have it. Now we want to know why we have gas pressure. And I said we have a force due to gravity holding all the molecules
No.
of air.
The first question is, how do we have gas pressure without a container? You can't have gas pressure gradients, i.e., you can't appeal to gas pressure gradients just yet because you have to answer the antecedent, X, before you talk about delta X. This is common
There's
sense.
a force. Just as if I had, like I mentioned earlier, the example.
Yeah, you said there's a force, and then I said, show me how gas which expands in all directions by its very nature is overcome by a force being applied to it. I've said this 3 times. We cut that shit off at the knees. You failed to back this assertion that somehow a force can overcome entropy. You haven't demonstrated that. You haven't proven it. You haven't cited it. We cut that shit off at the knees. Don't be a fundy, Zanuck. Don't just keep doubling down and tripling down when we've cut that shit off at the knees. No, you haven't demonstrated that some force can overcome entropy. Gas will expand in all directions. Now the question is, how do you have gas pressure without a container? And if all you can do is rumpus and obfuscate, it's pretty clear that your fundamentalist sky vacuum belief is a load of old nonsense. Nothing you've brought to the table in any way debunks that.
Hold on a second. If I have 2 containers and one is high pressure, one is low pressure, what happens to the entropy in the other container as I vent the high pressure to the low pressure? Do you know?
Yes.
You're describing
high pressure
entropy.
will flow to low pressure.
Yeah, you just described it.
What does entropy have to do with that?
Sorry, what's this red herring got to do with my question
No,
about what your
keep on throwing it out
fundamentalist
there.
belief? We're
You
not
don't know what it means.
right. I'm sorry. This isn't gas pressure container debate. We're debating the shape of the Earth, and there's a positive assertion from fundamentalist fear-believing zealots that the sky is a vacuum. That's what this subject's about. My question specifically is about what gas presses on at the top. Now you've obfuscated it enough. I want to know what it's pressing on, and you say it's not pressing on anything. Therefore, sky vacuum debunked.
No, there's a force acting on the air, just like there's a force.
5th time. Cut that shit off at the knees. Got memory problems, Zanuck. Yeah? Is this just having a bit of a cognitive wall put up to me saying, cut that shit off at the knees, my friend? You didn't demonstrate that. You didn't cite it. You didn't prove it. You haven't in any way backed this baseless assertion. So stop being a fundy. Stop tripling down on the shit that we've cut off at the knees. And get to the point. The sky being bunk as claimed to be a vacuum.
Let me ask you a question, Zanuck. I see your green talking button while Nathan's talking is keep flashing. Are you rumpusing this hangout?
Of course he is. I can control that shit so that the audience still gets my point, regardless of Zanuck's intention to absolutely make sure that these points don't come through.
Yeah, but the problem is Discord. Everyone in Discord can't hear it.
Yeah, I know. The Discord server gets to experience the rumpusing. I make sure the audience can still hear the. Yeah, that's.
Hey, when I'm in here,
so he
can you
doesn't
just
hear
tell me? I'll just put him on mute until you're done talking, and then I'll let him talk so everyone can hear it.
I'll put myself on mute.
That's all right,
No.
Zanuck. Okay, no worries. Now he's on mute. Yeah, the original question was, what does the gas, which is expanding in all directions and has not been demonstrated that a force will negate that, pressing upon on the top of your fundamentalist religious belief in a sky vacuum?
Go ahead, Zanuck.
I said that the force due to gravity is holding the atmosphere down with pressure.
Okay, but you have
So
yet to
just
prove.
like-
Didn't we just go over this?
And I gave you citations that show that the gravitational force is helping to create a pressure in
No,
the
you
atmosphere.
didn't. Nothing said a force.
Did you not read the citation?
Yes, we read them. Oh my God. I don't know what to say. What did we just go through for the past 30 minutes? We had your citations up. They didn't speak to your force.
It said, we measure the atmospheric pressure, the force exerted by the atmosphere on the Earth's surface. I mean, how much more
That's the
clear
force
can
of
you
the
be?
atmosphere. That's not the force that you're talking about. Do you understand English?
The atmospheric pressure caused by the weight of the column of air molecules in the atmosphere.
We already went through that too.
And you debunked the Lumen chemistry for majors site because you can't understand what they're actually saying. Is that what you're
No,
telling
we
me?
did understand, and we explained it to you in excruciating detail that there are no columns of air.
So they're wrong. So their citation is
Yes.
incorrect.
Yes.
Okay.
Because they
Just so
contradict
you know,
the
you know
very
more
I'm
than
going to put you on mute,
chemistry
no
site.
problem. Because they contradict the very definition of gas behavior. That's why they're wrong.
Okay, so the citation, that's okay, as long as we got our facts straight here. You're saying my citation is incorrect.
Yes.
Okay, and you know and they don't. Okay, that's fine.
That's correct. And I
Okay.
explained the rationale why.
When
And
high
it
pressure
didn't
moves to low
say that a force was. Well, your initial claim was that gas pressure can be contained by a container, a physical container, and a force. None of your citations or references spoke to that.
Like, you know what? I'll have to find you. I'll owe this to you. Is that when we were talking about second law and entropy and a few things a while back, I found a great citation in one of my chemistry books, or either online or somewhere, that talked about it specifically said a force or a container is needed. And I'll try to find that and post that. I don't know where it is right now. I don't want to waste your time looking for it.
No worries. We know you're good for it, Zanuck, but when you bring it, the next question that will be off our lips is, now that you've cited it, can you actually give us a physical demonstration of that being the case? And obviously we'll go from there. But with that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who've tuned in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely all join. I've been Nathan Oakley. A massive thank you to all of today's debating panel, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!